evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 or 5. Where's the ends? 4 or 5?
5.
5. Episode 5. Take 2. Episode 5. Chelsea Spurs. It is the 20th of May, and we are joined tonight by regular panelist Gazza. Say hello, Gaz.
Evening.
Gazza's got an apology for his technical difficulties last time.
We had a few problems with my devices.
Are your devices all corrected now? Are they correct and present?
So, yes.
Yes, he's hoping so. Below me, we've got the one and only Jens live from Holland tonight. Say hello, Jens.
Goedenavond. Hoe is it?
As you can tell, he's still speaking fluent Scottish. And down here, I've actually got it right. Look, you can see my bruised finger from going in goal the other day. Is Resimus Prime himself. Hello, Res. You're right. Good evening.
Good evening. I'll do proper Scottish for you. How are you? All right.
Good.
You're right.
Hey, good.
We've just lost all our viewers north of the border. All those years of good relations due to John White and Dave Mackay have just axed thanks to Resimus's.
Another tick for independence.
Yeah. Doing Boris Johnson's work for him. What was I going to say there? Right. Okay. So I guess we're all in. I was going to say we're actually all in fairly good mood compared to the mood we were in backstage when we first logged on. So it's always good therapy, isn't it? Well, Gaz is not in a good mood, but we'll give you an opportunity to empty your worry. Yeah, empty your worry hole in a moment. I can't really start until I'm sure everyone out there is waiting for my action-packed. Usual regular feature, Spurs on this day in history. Are we all on tender hooks ready for this? I showed you a sneak preview the other day. On this day in 1961, Clive Allen was born. But they've actually given me a bonus stat here so Saturday the 20th of May, we've been spoiled again. It's another illustrious date in Spurs history. Chelsea are the opponents for the 1967 FA Cup final, which sees another Wembley success for Spurs. In the first all-London final, the Tottenham defence copes admirably with Chelsea's attacking flair. Joe Kinnear is a standout performer, which is all the more impressive by the fact that he's only just come into the team due to injury to teammate Jimmy Robertson. Jimmy Robertson and Frank Sewell scored the goals that won the game for the Lily Whites, though Chelsea managed a late consolation through tambling. But with only 5 minutes remaining, the Blues ran out of time in their efforts to force a replay. So another pertinent date in Spurs history. We won they called it the London or the Cockney Cup final, didn't they? It's a famous one in history, the first one between two London clubs, and of course we defeated the scummy Blues. That's enough about the past. We've got to move into the present, unfortunately, and I'll put this at the bottom there. Last night's game, unfortunately, boys, we've got to talk about it. So let's go through it chronologically, I guess. Let's put this up on the screen. Thoughts on the lineup ahead of the game? 9 of the previous 11 with Winks and Bergwijn in from the Wolves game, replacing the Celso and Bale. Tanganga holding off Aurier. Did Mason get it wrong? We'll start with you then, Jens. What did you think of the lineup ahead of the game with those two changes?
I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw that Winks was playing. I don't know what he's done in the last 6 months to warrant a starting place in a very important match, because we wanted to aim for the Europa League, and he was dreadful. On a plus note, Bergwijn I thought looked very lively, lovely goal. I mean, what a finish! And how did Mason even think that it was a good idea to sub him?
We'll come on to that later.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Decisions were crazy.
Yeah. So the lineup, Gaz. If we come to you next, what did you think of the decision to start Winks?
Yeah, same chance. Interesting. I thought he didn't really offer us anything at all yesterday. I think he had one challenge where he won the ball back. That's about it, really. I think the midfield was just anonymous yesterday. We were trying to be a bit too gung-ho and Yeah, Villa just once after we scored, that was it. We went downhill dramatically. Got a little bit better in the second half, but yeah, too little, too late by then. For me,
we'll talk about the game in a bit. But this is just like the starting lineup here. But you were
I was Connor Cody man of the match.
What, for this game as well?
Yeah, I'll do that later.
Yeah, Rez, your thoughts on Winks starting and Bergwijn coming in?
I was appalled at the former. I was hopeful for Bergwijn. As soon as I saw Winks in there next to Højbjerg, I just thought to myself, why bother? Why even bother? Coming out, because this is just ridiculous. He hasn't shown anything for the best part. It's more than 6 months. It's the last 2 years, right? So many people are still banking on what he did against Madrid in that Champions League game. Right? I'm sorry, that guy, that Winks, has not progressed significantly enough since that game to warrant a place in our starting lineup. I'm sorry.
You know what it smacked of to me? It was Mason trying to give him a chance to play himself into the Euro 2020 squad, wasn't it? Give his mate a game.
Yeah, Ryan Mason.
Yeah.
He did it in the cup final, and that's fine. Okay, fine. You're new into the job. Not the best time to do it, but fine. You want to see if we can do it.
Yeah, a cup final against one of the best teams in Europe.
Yeah. Do it. He didn't do it. He can't have been that good in training to suddenly change your mind.
No. You can't imagine him like Maradona, can he? Dribbling around 10 people in training and pinging it top bins, rather than just making tidy 5-yard passes side to side.
Everything he does, he's just. The other thing that pissed me off about his selection, though, is the rumours that he was the one that was sort of briefing the press when it was all starting to go to shit this season, and that he was the one that was sort of pissing and moaning first, and that is unforgivable as far as I'm concerned. I don't give a shit about whether Mourinho was hanging them up by their fucking bollocks. Pardon my French, their bollocks every training session, or if he was happy Uncle Jose, right? Doesn't matter to me. You don't undermine the club like that. We've got enough of a problem with our chairman undermining the club, let alone the players. So for that reason, I'm sick of him. I want him out.
One of our viewers agrees with us. Well, I'm sure this is a rhetorical question, but what does Mason get right? Unfortunately, King David says, "Is this live?" And then he answers himself, "Yes, it is." Great. You saved me a job there, David. You can come and be my glamorous assistant if you want, David.
That's the type of YouTube viewer you want.
Yeah, isn't it? Right? Just yeah. It saves me having to type.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are live, David.
I'm Team David.
Me too.
So after I rudely cut all three of you off there when you started talking about the game, I guess we should move on to talking about the game. Seamlessly flowing in from one section to another, as you can see from my ticky-tick hair at the bottom there. We're now on the match talking point. So the first one is Bergwijn's goal and his overall performance, which is why I put a stop on you from talking about it a minute ago, Jen. So now we'll come back to you to complete what you originally started.
I thought that he looked lively. He was full of running. I still think he lacks a lot of confidence. But that goal would have given him more confidence, and then it's probably be rock bottom again after getting subbed when he was, I'd say, probably our best player.
I can only put that down. Being subbed off down to match fitness, maybe.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I think that's the defensible excuse, I would say.
Yeah. It's. I was happy with the way he played. I hope he gets some minutes against Leicester. Although I have a feeling that's going to be a cricket score for them. But yeah, him and Bale competing for that right, the right wing spot in the last game should be good.
Yeah, I could tell you were just buying for time there, so I was just deliberately waiting to make you feel as awkward as possible, Jens. So we'll now, we'll now move on to we'll now move on to the next one, the Reggie's Horror Show at left back. Gaza, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, he was my Connor Cody man of the match. He got the goal and the assist.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
So yeah, by far he was our standout player. But it was unlucky. The own goal was unlucky. He was on his wrong foot. It could have gone anywhere. It was a hell of a strike, really, to be fair. And the second goal, he was kind of stitched up by Eric Dyer. Eric Dyer gave him the ball. He tried to clear it.
That was Winks.
Was it Winks?
I'm pretty sure it was Winks, yeah.
I think so too, yeah.
But yeah, he had a second crack of the whip at it, and that was it. Game over. And it was a decent finish. But yeah,
with his eyes had gone, hadn't they, after that second one? He just didn't want to be out there. My brother said, I'm surprised he'll come out for the second half, but fair play to him. He did, didn't he? It's a good job he did, because with the Tanganga injury, we lost our third substitution anyway, didn't we?
Yeah.
Mentioning, it was awful, wasn't he? His passing was off, but I guess his confidence was completely shot after the couple of errors, didn't he? He nearly gave away a third goal as well, didn't he, with sloppy pass and stuff.
It was the same against Leeds as well. It's not the first time in recent weeks that he's sort of had something go wrong. I mean, Lloris, he didn't really save him, but at least it wasn't chalked up to him against Leeds. But this time it was. I mean, he's just
mentioning the pass that stitched him up for the second one leads us nicely into your talking point there, Rez. Winks' selection and performance.
Headless chicken, he shouldn't have been selected, and that was justified when you saw his performance. That view is justified when you see his performance. He one or two passes were, vertical and progressive, but it really was one or two out of most of them. Usual thing, sideways passing, sloppy in the tackle, getting into sort of scraps. Was it against Grealish or McGinn that he was sort of kept getting into scraps with and coming off second best?
Mm-hmm.
Just I don't want to see him pull on a Spurs shirt again. I really don't.
Amen.
I want him.
I tend to agree.
It was not long ago. He was linked with a £40 million move to Man City.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen. Yeah.
We'll chuck him in for free when Kane goes.
Yeah. I mean, fair play. Listen, if someone can get a tune out of him, can find the best way of playing him, fine. But we've had two managers now who have not got... I mean, I remember we used to criticise JJ because of his inconsistency.
Similar.
With Winks, it's almost... with JJ, you could expect some good games in there. With him, his baseline is here, and the exception, the sort of outstanding stuff that he does is usually below the level you would expect of a normal sort of central midfielder. At least with JJ, those outstanding performances were usually better than what you would expect. With Winks, he just never goes above and beyond, ever. I've never seen him do something that was outstanding on purpose. Even his 50-yard goal was an accident. I mean, that tells you all you need to know.
Pochettino said that he was never the same after he got those ankle injuries. He lost confidence in his body, didn't he? And he hasn't really been the same, has he, since then?
Get a sports psychologist in, see if you can fix it. You can't ship him out.
We've got some good comments here from Nate and David, but they're more sort of about Levy and the board and what we do moving forward and stuff. So I'll save your comments, boys. I'm not ignoring you. There's some good comments we've got there, but we're going to talk about that later on. So I'll bring them up on screen when we get to that stage of the show. Just to thank you for those messages. And I'm not ignoring you, but I'll bring them up when we get to that part of the show. We're just going to cover the Villa shit show at the moment before we get onto that. Oh, Jens has got a nice easy one as well here. You ready, Jens?
Definitely. Absolutely outstanding. That I swear. He lives and breathes to be the best centre back in the Premiership.
He can't even organise his own feet, can he?
No, he's the thing that really upset me the other day was when he came out and he complained about people slagging him off. I mean, I reckon he probably went to bed last night and thought, "Oh, I got man of the match again today."
You know what Rez said about Winks. I don't ever want to see him in a Spurs shirt again. I hope the same about Dyer. I mean, again, they're nice enough fellas off the pitch, aren't they? But if we're judging them as football players, which is what they ultimately are, they're not at the level that we need to move forward, are they?
No.
Which is
what stick to his cabbage patch.
Yeah, which is what Jose always said, wasn't it? They're nice guys, but nice guys don't win anything.
No.
I
won a raffle once.
David says the guys, these players are more concerned about their holidays now and done with them until the start of next season. Hopefully they won't come back from their holidays, some of them, David, because some of them aren't really fit to take us forward, are they? I was going to say fit to wear the shirt, but they've already worn it. So
the thing I was going to say about is that on the pitch he's actually quite aggressive. That's the thing. It's just, and he does try. So for me, he ranks slightly above Winks because Winks sometimes just switches off. He doesn't even bother. There were moments when McGinn went past him that I just saw him just plodding back towards the box. Dyer is always at least desperate to get it right. It's just he doesn't have the brain for it, and I think part of it is when he was shifted forward by Poch to play in the midfield and was at a time when he should really have been developing how to be a centre back. Missed that window, and because of that, he's neither one nor the other.
Yeah, I said on a podcast the other day, they asked who the first player that you'd get rid of was, and I went for Aurier because I said at least Eric Dyer's try, and the talent's not really there, is it? The level of talent's not really there, but Aurier doesn't even try, does he, half the time? That's demonstrated by that third goal against Leeds when he went home at half-time. His attitude is wrong as well. I'm not going to say it stinks, but his attitude's all wrong. Gazza, you've got Kane and Son, anonymous. What did you think of their performance?
Yeah. Son, you hardly saw him, really. He didn't really do a great deal. Kane kind of tried harder second half. I don't know if you've seen there's a video clip of him. He kind of looks like he's mouthing or saying the words of, "What's the fucking point, mate?" So, I don't know. It's,
what period of the game was that? I don't know. Does anyone work out
I don't actually know. From what I've seen, it seems that he tried to cross the ball, but no one was in the box. So he put a cross in. There was no one on the end of it, and it was kind of like. But for me, that's kind of like how I feel.
Down, does it?
Sorry?
Could have happened. That doesn't narrow it down. It could have happened at any point in the game or any of the previous 10 games. Yeah.
But I think what he said was kind of how everyone feels. What is the fucking point of what we're doing in a minute with Tottenham? Yeah. Kind of sums it all up, really. But yeah, it was a very quiet game for both of them, really. And I don't think it was the fact that the Villa defenders were, massively over on the top of them. It was, it just didn't work. Something didn't work last night. Pretty much from the point we scored, it just turned to shit from there.
It was like the Mourinho days when they get a goal and then sit back and protect it, but we're not good enough. Our defence is not good enough to do that. Rez, you've got Gareth Bale out, and I've actually put in the comments, obviously there's a lot of talk in the lead up to the game about why Bale wasn't able to play too many games and whatnot, and Mason said in the press conference afterwards, I've just got his quote here, "We spoke and he felt it was best for him, note him, and his body not to start today." I mean, please. That smacks of he's decided he's not playing, isn't it?
Yeah,
it does, and it begs the question of, I mean, we all sort of, and it might have been motivated by our desperation to have him back in Spurs colours. We were all defending him against Zidane, while he was at Madrid and the way that Zidane was treating him. And that's justified as far as I'm concerned. I think Zidane treated him really badly. But there's an undercurrent there of someone who is no longer all that serious about his football career. And I think that there's a possibility, and I don't want to lay blame on his door. I don't want to accuse him of anything, but this might be his last international tournament. And it's just for that he's sort of been holding on.
It'd be interesting to see how many games he plays for Wales during the Euros, because what you play every 3-4 days in Euros.
Yeah.
So is his body going to hold it together for playing every game for Wales? I bet it does.
I bet it does. Yeah. And as David said in the comments there, I bet he found his body was okay to play golf today.
There you go. Yeah. You know, I really wanted this loan to work. I mean, it's just symptomatic of the whole season that even, something that should really have brought everyone together, really made us happy, and it hasn't. And whether or not we get him back again next season for another loan, it doesn't bother me one way or the other. I think there's excuses being made. I don't believe that there's any real problem with him playing. And it might have been the fact that we've got a 29-year-old inexperienced manager essentially being told by a 31-year-old world-class, certainly was, superstar, I'm not playing. And that guy will just Mason will turn around and say, okay, boss, no problem.
Yeah, how much a week's he on, and he can't be bothered to...
250,000.
Well, from us, 240,000. From Madrid, another 350,000. You say, 600 grand a week.
Yeah.
You give me £600 a week, I'll do pretty much anything you want.
You can see his mindset. He doesn't want to get injured for Wales, but you can't just not play every time he got a little niggle. I don't know if anyone's seen the Ronaldo documentary, but he said he hasn't played injury-free since he was before we went to Man United. He said he's been carrying injuries because he's got so much pressure from sponsors, Portugal, Man United, Real Madrid, and all their sponsors. He's always pressured into playing all the time. So he always plays through pain. He said he hasn't played pain-free for 10 years or whatever. So the top players push through it, don't they?
Karim Benzema came out today and said that Benzema and Ronaldo both had abductor injuries, and Bale had a thigh injury. I think it was back in 2014 Champions League final. And he said because we want to play in the biggest stage, we all played through it, all three of them. So it goes to show that if you really want,
he's got form for it. Apparently when he was still at Spurs before he went to Real Madrid, he went through this period where even the tiniest little knock, and he'd sort of go off and try and elicit sympathy. And it got to the point where Harry Redknapp had to turn around and basically tell the rest of the squad, when he does that, just ignore him.
Yeah.
And come back. And it just seems like it's built into his character. And I'm hate to have to say it. I really do. It breaks my heart to say it because I love that. I loved the old Bale.
It smacks to me of a man completely locking in confidence. I don't know if it's in his body or, again, if it's psychological, if we need a sports psychologist to... If you'd have thought with the amount of money he earns, he's got someone that he uses. David comes out of a good point here. Too many weak characters at our club who's only interested in collecting their wage at the end of the week so they can buy another summer house in Costa Brava. There are, aren't there? They don't really care. You could tell last night with the lack of the walk around afterwards, none of them are that bothered about the fans, are they?
It's not even that they're not bothered about the fans. They're not even bothered about playing the game. That's the infuriating thing. Is they don't care, it seems now. They've got to the point, I think they started off as confident as most footballers are. They've taken a few knocks and their confidence has drained away. They've been, sort of pummeled by football. Now they just got to the point of complete disinterest.
Yeah. It's not good, is it?
Certainly seems that way, yeah.
I bet if we were fighting for trophies or fighting for second or third or fourth in the league, they'd be putting more.
Well, technically, we were fighting for a place in the Europa League, weren't we? I mean, and to finish above West Ham and to finish above Arsenal, and they can't get themselves up for that. Potentially last home game for Harry Kane. They can't get themselves up for that.
They don't want to play on Thursdays because then they miss EastEnders.
Yeah. It's probably what's that game?
If they play on Wednesday, they miss Coronation Street. And if
can't win, can you?
What's that game that Dele Alli plays? Is it Fortnite? It's probably Fortnite competition on a Thursday, so they don't want to be in it.
I've got some comments about Dele as well if you want to ask them.
I actually haven't got a banner for him, but you can talk about Dele Alli if you want to get onto your passion project, Rez.
Yeah, got really annoyed with him as well. Did you see him grinning and making jokes with Jack Grealish?
Yeah.
Did spend a lot of time being pally with him.
Yeah.
And Mason as well.
What's interesting, did you see Grealish's reaction?
Yeah, he just ignored him.
Exactly. He was focused on the game.
He was a professional,
right? So Dele pisses and moans when he's not getting game time. And then when he comes along, he says, "Oh, I just want to have fun and express myself." No. Do your job first and then think about having fun. And he's not done that. Again, another player I would not have any problems seeing depart the club.
Yeah, absolutely. He was poor yesterday, wasn't he? Spot on, David. I can't say a lot. I've got a dead rat on top of my head. Look.
No, yours is the man bun. That's all right.
Man bun, yeah. So Jens, if you want to take this one, the Tanganga injury, it seemed nothing, didn't it? Like it's just a bit of a tangle of the legs, and then what did you make of it?
I didn't see it.
No.
I think I'd stormed off. I think I'd stormed off outside to have a cigarette because I was in a rather bad mood, and then I came in. I got a notification on my phone saying that Doherty's coming on, and I'm like, "What? What's going on here? We're chasing the game." And then I came in and Tanganga was on a stretcher, and I was like, "Oh, okay, fair enough."
Yeah, me and Davos were saying, "Oh, surely have we heard going to come on now?" And then the injury happened, and then that put Kai Boss to that. So another game.
Yeah. Have we heard what it is?
No, I haven't seen any news. Earlier, Spurs hadn't put any news out at all. They hadn't tweeted anything. They hadn't put any social media out at all. So I don't know if you've seen anything, Gaz.
Saying that they're waiting for the swelling to go down before they can do a scan.
Okay.
Oh.
So it can't be that great in terms of if it's swollen up, it's going to take a few days for the swelling to go down before they can actually do a scan. So it seemed like it was a tangle of legs, and then maybe he's caught his foot in the ground under the weight of the
it's a strange one, wasn't it?
Chris Norton said, it's because I did say 5 minutes ago he was getting tired. Maybe it's because of that. Well, I don't think he's just done his ankle because he's tired.
Chris Coleman, yeah, exactly. He's broken his leg because he was tired. Ridiculous.
That's He's not a commentator, is he?
No. They only have him on because he loves Gareth Bale and he licks him out for the whole game.
So he's not going to get his tongue up his arse, and
exactly.
He's better than Martin Tyler, though.
Oh, and Martin Keown. Yeah, Martin Keown and
live.
Yeah. Alan Smith. They normally put Alan Smith or Martin Keown in our games, don't they, for some reason?
Yeah.
I've got a nice easy one for you here, Rez. Harry Kane's demeanour during and after the game.
Yeah. What can we do about H? He seemed deflated after the game. He was one of the few that actually stayed out to sort of applaud the fans, which I'm sure we'll get to with regard to sort of lap of dishonor and all of that stuff. But he stayed out. And the footage that I saw, I don't want to read too much into it, but it was not the demeanor of a man that was emotionally in a good place. A lot of people claim to say, well, they saw tears in his eyes and all of that stuff. To be honest, I didn't see it. I didn't see tears. I saw sadness. I didn't see actual tears. But
Ryan Mason came out with a good point. He does that after every game, doesn't he? And he does. He comes over and claps us. Yeah, it's not unusual.
No, but there was no smile that I saw. I mean, it was only about 40 seconds of footage that I saw.
Yeah,
taken from different angles. But There was no smile. There was no. Usually, even when he doesn't smile, there's something about his face that sort of
business.
says,
Yeah, I mean business. Yeah.
I'm being professional. Yesterday, it seemed deflated and sad, and there was.
Well, there's that video clip that Gazza touched on earlier, where he said, "What's the fucking point?" when he crossed it in there. There's no one there.
Yeah.
Also, on the flip side as well, you did have all those fans that were at the game booing.
True.
Levy out chance, Enoch out, we want to put them back chance. So,
yeah.
I don't know, for him to be seen to be anything other than disappointed because they lost the game, and obviously what's going on, I don't know, it's hard to read, really. You can take it in both ways. It could be his farewell, his way of saying I'm off. I don't know.
The whole Kane thing at the moment, the other thing that occurred to me is that it's very different to, Berbatov, Carrick, Modric, Bale, those players that we also sold, who were really, really, our superstars. The one difference between those four, let's say, and Kane is that Kane's a Spurs fan. So I think to myself, is there a possibility that he's as fucked off with Levy as we
absolutely.
are?
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's either his, because us as individuals, we can't do anything ourselves individually that carries any significance for Levy, but Kane can.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to.
Sorry, AJ, we got this coming up about Kane.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave it.
So Jens, did you see on the feed out in Holland? Did they play did they hear the boos at half time and full time and the crowd come off? They cut away, did they?
In the Netherlands, they go straight to highlights of other games at half time, and then at full time, unless it's a really big game, they go on to something else. So there's never any there's never any sort of pundits talking about the match at half time or at full time. So
it's most unusual for our fans to boo as well. I mean, we tend not to unless it's very extreme. I mean, for that to be the first game back and for them to boo so vocally and both at half time and full time, what did you make of that, Gaz?
Yeah, as you said, it's unusual for us to do that, and but I think for me, the whole situation about the fans going back was completely wrong. £60 for a ticket. Which was pretty much double what other clubs are doing. And I don't know if you noticed, but the fans were high up in the ground. They were virtually up in the gods, all the way around the ground. Now, there could be COVID reasons for that, or there could be the fact that Daniel Levy thought there might be a protest, people running on the pitch or anything like that. But, security reasons. But to pay £60 and then get stuck up in the gods, that's wrong. And I don't know if you've heard that the beer that was supplied in hospitality looked flat. The burger, someone posted a picture of a burger that was raw in the middle. For me, I'm pleased I didn't go. I just
did you go, Rez?
I didn't. No, mainly because I couldn't be bothered.
Same.
I really couldn't. It was, and it's really depressing, and it's that I felt that way. But I just felt, even though it was the last game, and there was a part of me that said, well, let's just start the season fresh next season. It's been a bad year. Let's not get too hung up. Don't worry, just watch it on TV. Little did I know how I feel afterwards. But no, I didn't go.
It's weird, isn't it? Because there's so many random Europa Cup games I used to go up to on my own sometimes, like just for the hell, because I always didn't want to miss a Spurs game, and I literally had no interest in going to that game. Once it was £60, 6:00, the current status of everything, I just had no interest in going at all, which is most unlike me. But I think a lot of fans shared that sentiment.
Yeah, it's the principle of it. Exactly your points. The £60, the 6:00 kickoff. For me, that was just the principle of it. Sorry, Mr. Levy, you're not having my cash this time.
Yeah, it's most unlike us.
Differently. If it was free, but £60 was asking a lot, thing. And
Burnley didn't charge, did they?
No.
Apparently.
They just said, as a gesture of goodwill, donate to a club charity.
Could you ever imagine Dr. Evil doing that?
No.
There's not a chance in hell.
No.
He'd charge the charity an administration fee for processing the transaction, wouldn't he?
I was just going to say he'd charge a booking fee for a free ticket.
Yeah, he would. Speaking of the weird crowd atmosphere, did you guys also see the fans that were jumping up and down, singing and dancing like we were 4-0 up when we were 2-1 down? There was no sort of enthusiasm for the anti-Levy chants. Are some of our fan base in denial, or I don't know what's setting? Is the rock setting and no one cares, or
that's a river in Egypt, isn't it?
In denial. I'm in denial. Rez, can you do an Egyptian accent?
No.
just put a fez on and that's it.
Anyway, I look that sort of area anyway, so I don't need to speak. I don't have a cup that's suitably shaped. So did anyone speak that? The guy that was giving it large, singing at the top of his lungs, smiling and joking away when we were 2-1 down, stinking the place out.
There's a lot of fans who haven't been to football for 14 months. It's kind of a day out, and maybe the anti-Levy, anti-Enoch lot didn't, out of principle, like same as us, didn't bother going because they didn't want to spend and put money in his back pocket. So it was people who have just thought, you know what, I'm kind of either on the fence or I'm Enoch in.
Yeah.
Non-plus. There was stuff after the game, but that was when some of the fans had gone, and then you had the, don't know what you want to call it, when the players do their walk around to say thank you at the end of the game.
Yeah,
that was shit from the word go by. From what I understand, people were in there for nearly an hour after the game, still waiting for players to come out.
Yeah,
and I think those are the people who were the ones singing Enoch out, Levy out, etc. They were the ones who made their voices heard once everyone else had gone home and given up. So
there's a couple of the guys that weren't up there protested yesterday, Stell and Mr. K, and he said as people were leaving the stadium, there was an old guy kind of leaned to them and kind of looked around and kind of whispered, "Enoch out." It's like some big secret or something. He's kind of saying that we're on your side, but we're not prepared to be vocal about it. We're not prepared to do anything about it. We're not, prepared to go over and above to get anything changed here. So maybe there's an apathy in that way. I mean, it's just bad, isn't it? I've put up on the screen now the lap of dishonour delays. I think the PA said after half an hour, didn't it? We're not going to be having a lap of honour.
Yeah,
they call it appreciation.
No, they didn't say explicit. It was implied.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support this season. Have a safe journey home. Apparently, was the word that was used. Because I don't think it would have looked good if they turned around and said, "Now leave." And it's also why I think they eventually did have some players come out, because people were stuck there or staying there. They weren't leaving. And the optics, on top of all of the crap that Levy has had to endure, in inverted commas, over the last 3 or 4 weeks, to then add to that the optics of the club throwing their own supporters out, who all they wanted was to see their players one last time before the end of the season, would not have looked good. So I think someone went down to the dressing room and said, "Look, just get out there so we can empty the stadium." That is what I think happened.
There's a comment on there from Bungleby. Hi, Bungleby. Thanks for watching. Guys, don't worry. As Daniel Levy will bring Spurs to the next level. It might take another 20 years, but we will get there. Every great journey started with one step, 20 years at a time, eh, Daniel? Yeah.
Messiah. But going back to the announcement, I heard that there were scuffles between fans and stewards, because the stewards were asking them to leave or trying to get them out.
There was a video of people trying to get down the front, where all the advertising was covering the seats. There were people trying to get to those gangways.
Oh, okay, right.
That was another reason I thought Levy might have left those up there to stop people getting onto the pitch, protesting and causing a scene, as well as obviously showing the sponsors on the TV cameras a bit more.
Yeah.
Just typical Daniel Levy. Daniel's come back to say to us, to all the fans, I'm very sorry about the raw burgers and the flat beer, but we have to cut costs in these times of economic depression. It's us that's in the depression, Daniel. Not the beer and the burgers.
Yeah.
The beer was from last season.
I don't know. That's it. Well, does he put it through a soda stream or something before it gets served? And so he just wanted to come across that way. You know, he's got beer mix and he just puts it in a little soda stream, and then there you go.
Here's a question.
A bit of ethanol with it. Yeah.
Here's a question. If you were at the stadium last night when the players did their lap of appreciation at the end, would you have given, say, Dyer and Aurier stick, or would you have done your usual, just give them a clap and then slagged them off on the internet when you got home?
It would have been a 2-finger salute.
It depends how they go around. If they went around in a cluster of players, then
they'd have had their kids with them as usual, wouldn't they, to kind of disarm us a bit.
Yeah.
So the shit show didn't stop there. Talking about fans trying to get down onto the pitch and stuff is my next point. Apparently, when Ryan Mason was doing his interviews for Sky and the in-house club channel, there was a lot of fans singing abuse, hurling abuse at him. One in particular about him not picking Ndombele, and then there was a lot of chanting about Levy and Enoch, which meant that the cameras had to keep stopping because they didn't want it to obviously go out on the official Spurs feed and Sky and whatnot with the anti-Levy chants in the background. So at least those hit home a little bit, and it did disrupt him a little bit. Anyone got any thoughts on that?
Good on him.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah.
I just think that. Sorry, carry on, Gaz.
I was going to say I feel a little bit sorry for Ryan Mason because he's been thrown under the bus. The Sat Mourinho, his first interview that he's had to deal with was the ESL fallout. Then tried to beat one of the best teams in Europe in a cup final, and then he's come into this week. He's got a pre-match interview, and he's got to fend off questions about Harry Kane.
Did you see the club said they were pissed off with Kane coming out with those comments because poor Ryan Mason had to field those questions in his press conference. So they didn't seem to care when they ditched the ESL on him, did they? And he's left cut him out to dry there. No help or anything.
About him.
Yeah. Oh dear.
But if you're going to have fans around, you got to expect some sort of backlash. With what's going on at the moment.
But again, Mason didn't help himself because he said he thinks it's a minority and that there's not a lot of discontent out there, words to that effect, didn't he? I read it out to Rez when we were in the green room before we started. His comments about Jens, he said something like he doesn't think that represents the feelings of the majority of fans.
Has he got blinkers on or something?
Alistair Gold said, I think he now realises that is the case.
Yeah, his view's been changed during the last night.
How blind can a bloke be? Seriously, sitting up there.
Pulling the corporate line, isn't he? Pulling the corporate line.
Yeah. That's what it boils down to. At the end of the day, he is a puppet, unfortunately.
Yes.
And inexperienced as well. And he's probably a part in his career where he thinks, well, I don't want to do anything to piss anyone off because I've still got 35,
40 years in the game,
Yeah.
Also, speaking of Alistair Gold's piece that he put out about an hour before we came on today, something that we all completely forgot about until Alistair mentioned it in his article, that they were supposed to wear the new strip last night, but apparently at the 11th hour, the club decided not to put them in the new kit tonight. Any thoughts on potentially why that happened? Gaz, we'll start with you.
Probably a money-saving idea by Daniel Levy, must be. Wait till next season, they'll be cheaper. Maybe got someone to drive over to go and pick them all up instead of having them shipped, saving a few quid.
Ryan Mason.
I have no idea why.
Ryan Mason. They haven't put any statement out as to why they didn't wear it after announcing that they would be wearing it.
No.
And Rez, have you got any conspiracy theories as to why the strip was not worn last night? If not, can you make one up on the spot?
Basically, I think what's happened is that there's been a dispute between Nike and AIA, about who actually insures the gears that turn the sort of wheels within the factory that they're made in. And so because of that, Nike have turned around and said, no, until you pay us so we can fix those wheels, we're not going to produce any strips for anyone, right? So now what's going on is the AIA are in a lot of trouble with all the sort of clubs that have Nike strips. They're all suing them. And so what Daniel Levy wants to do is to actually get the naming rights sorted so he can help AIA out so then he can get the strips for next season, but he didn't get it done in time for the Villa game last night. Okay.
That sounds plausible to me. Jens, can you do any better? And don't say no.
No, I have a feeling that the printers messed it all up and they put Thompson on instead of AI. AI.
Do you remember the '87 Cup final when half the strips didn't have Holston on, did they?
I bet they bought those strips from Mr. Byright, Daniel Levy.
It's not like they had a month to prepare for the cup final or anything. And then on the day they delivered the strip and half of them didn't have sponsors logos on it. Unbelievable. That's probably the end of Holston for us. Well, no, I don't think they stayed much longer than they were pretty well peed off. Like FA Cup final, watched all the way around the world, one of the biggest games in the world at that stage, wasn't it? And then
and Chrissy Waddle was running around with a shirt with no name on it. So,
as I recall, I think that's when Chris Waddle had his haircut. He had his mullet, didn't he? And I think the '87 Cup finals was when he finally unhinged the mullet and had it cut off. I seem to remember.
Nice.
Right, so we're now moving on to questions for the panel, Spurs and the Moose. So moving away from that game in particular, and we'll start with earlier in the week we had Daniel Levy's pre-game statement, which he put out. Jens, what did you think of that nonsense when it came out?
It was just a load of hot air. Is this the one with the supporters trust?
No, the one where he said that every penny we have is reinvested back into It was his programme notes for last night.
We're all supporters of the club, and we are passionate about the club. Again, it's a load of hot air. It's deflecting tactics. And I don't think it was worded particularly well.
Was it?
Yeah.
Corporate nonsense.
Absolutely. I don't know who it is who does our PR, but is it Donna Cullen? I think she's the one in charge of it, isn't she? They should get the Twitter guy to do. He's quite humorous, isn't he? He's come out with some funny ones over the last year.
Yeah. Get the Dulux guy.
Who's that?
Get the Dulux guy.
Or the Chick King guy.
The Dulux dog.
He'd do a better job, wouldn't he? Gaz, what did you think of that?
Who used to run the Bel-Air.
The cam bar at the back. Do you remember those two? The man and the woman that used to run out the back there? I don't know whatever happened to them. If you're watching tonight, the two that used to run the cam bar at the back there, hello, and come on and say hello and whatnot.
Yeah. And can I still get a can of Red Stripe for £2.50?
Yeah.
We've got some comments here. Hi, Premier Hotspur TV. I've been on his channel. Yes, Johnny, and your panel. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. If you could like and subscribe to Premier Hotspur TV as well, they put out some good content. King David says the players need to wear a naked kit next season because I ain't buying the new kit. I think we all said. Rez said something similar, didn't he? He said he's normally bought his new kit by now. Well, last year's kit at the end of the season because it's cheaper, but we don't want to line Levy's pocket, do we? Hey, PHTV, I guess that's David saying hello to Simon of Premier Hotspur TV there. So, Rez, did you have any thoughts on that this statement from Daniel Levy, which appeared in the programme, his last home game traditional statement?
Yeah, 2 words, prove it.
Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, you're saying it. Fine. This is, as I've been saying for months now, this is your last chance, Mr. Levy. Okay? Again, this is where I get worried, because there's words and there's actions and there's an underlying thing that is a problem for us. That if that doesn't change, it doesn't matter what he says, nothing's going to be different. And I don't know when the right time to sort of bring that all in will be, to sort of talk about that if we get the opportunity. And it's to do with our turnover. That is the issue. because it's all to do with the stadium. Now that it's complete, he has to now put his money where his mouth is. There is no other option. He can't. There's nothing else to rely on. There's nothing else to build that will affect how we act in terms of the playing side of things. So this is it.
Do you not think he was teeing us up by saying in that statement, everything that the stadium's earned is ploughed back into player recruitment? Well, no one's been in the stadium, so we've got no money, so there's no money for player recruitment. Do you not think that's how his devious little mind works?
That would apply if we're not talking about a multi-billion-pound business. A multi-billion-pound business can find money when it needs to. Yeah, it's not like you or I or us four or our viewers or the people out there living an ordinary life. When we run out of money, we can borrow, but there are lots of hoops to jump through. A £1 million business that does have hoops to jump through, but it's so much easier for them to find money. The other interesting thing I saw in the Athletic maybe a year and a half ago, is that the biggest issue for clubs when it comes to the money they need to spend, it's not transfer fees that's the problem, it's wages. Transfer fees can always be found, and because there's always player movement, there's so many contracts and deals that are still ongoing that in actual fact, when you say we bought this player for 50 million, a lot of the time it's not 50 million that you hand over to the selling club. You might have sold a player to that club over there who then owes this club over here that you're buying from some money, which, because you've dealt with them in the past, it alters the amount of money that you need to give to the club you're buying a player from. Whereas wages are wages. Once the player's in, you've got to pay that. So it's not transfer fees, it's wages that's the key thing. And this is where Spurs, I'm going on a bit, but it's the key. This is where it gets interesting for Spurs, right? When you look at our wages to turnover ratio, we spend about 40% of our turnover on wages. It's the lowest in the Premier League as a percentage. It's not as an absolute figure, but as a percentage. All the other clubs spend more than their turnover. And if you'll forgive me, I've got some figures that I just want to go through here, if you don't mind. I'm not going to be able to see you because I've got funnily enough, my Excel spreadsheet open. Where I did the number crunching, right? So I can see half of you. So basically, at the moment, so the last figures we had were 2018. We spent £148 million on wages, right?
Right.
There are 5 clubs that spend more than us, and it's the usual crowd: Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Man United. Arsenal are 5th. They spent 240 million, and that's 60% of their turnover, right?
Yeah.
If we spent 50% of our turnover on wages, we'd spend 190 million. That's 40 million a year more for a 10% increase.
Yeah.
If we spent 60%, we'd have 228 million. And if we spent 70%, which some clubs do, it'd be 266 million on wages.
Yeah.
Now that the stadium has been built, they're saying it's another 100 million a year on top of our turnover. Even if we stay at the same level of about 40% turnover to wages ratio, we're only spending 187 million. It's still less than what Arsenal are spending right now. Right?
That's what Danny Rose always said, wasn't it?
But if we spend 10% more, we would spend 240 million on wages, the same as Arsenal, which would be nearly 100 million pounds more a year. That translates to 2 million a week. If you sign,
that's Ozil's wages then.
No, 2 million a week. That's 200,000 pound a year players. Obviously, it's not as simple as that. I'm just giving an indication. There's not me saying we need to spend that, but 40%. The next lowest after that is 50%, and that's that for the 2018 season was Huddersfield. They spent half their turnover on wages. Everyone else is up there in terms of their spending, and we're just piddling along down here.
Isn't it? Have you got on your spreadsheet as well, Rez? Isn't the amount of money they make from season ticket holders and ticket sales only like 2% of their turnover? Isn't it something ridiculous like that? So it's not that important. So him coming out and saying all the money generated from the stadium is going to be invested in transfers, that's bollocks, isn't it?
It depends on which club you're talking about. If you're talking about your Burnleys, you'll hear some weird names in there because it's from 2018. But a club like Huddersfield, they only make about 5 million from ticket sales, which is tiny, but they make 110 million from TV broadcasting rights. I mean,
it's where the money is, isn't it? Sponsorship and TV.
Absolutely. But with us, it's the ratio is a lot smaller. We made 150 million from TV and 70 million from ticket sales. So, or match day revenue.
Yeah.
But then there's the commercial side. So we made 160 million on commercial sales, whereas Huddersfield only made 10.
Yeah.
We've got the money. We just need to spend a little bit more of the money we're making on wages. Transfer fees are not important. It's the wages, and we've got the resources to spend, and we've got the resource to spend now because we've got fans coming in next season. You can borrow against the money you're going to get over the year. If necessary.
I said this the other day when he didn't spend for 18 months on any transfers. If you look at the way Man United's owners bought Man United, they didn't put a penny of their own money in, did they? They borrowed the whole lot against future incomes from the stadium, from Old Trafford. So why didn't Daniel Levy do a deal like that, or even with Big Joe Lewis, or with a cut at the bank or an investment company to borrow some money to invest in the transfers? There's no reason he couldn't have done that. No. The odd 30-40 million pounds to Joe Lewis, which would be repaid when the stadium is open, would be nothing, would it? Mismanagement again.
That odd 30-40 million pounds is sitting down the back of a sofa in the Bahamas somewhere. It's just pocket change for Joe Lewis.
It's an extra speedboat, isn't it, or something?
I heard the club has got 200 million in cash reserves right now.
Who has?
I heard we do. The club does. I heard I can't remember where it was, but I heard that we've got 200 million in cash reserves. I don't know if it's true, but
he sells that we're paupers and we're just getting by, aren't we? And that we're on the verge of bankruptcy and start putting staff on furlough. And
I appreciate coronavirus has kind of put a bit of a stop to things. I.e., for example, fans not being in the ground for 12 months. I appreciate that, but going forward, how many NFL games have we got coming up in October? It's going to generate money. There's concerts coming up, Lady Gaga, etc., Guns N' Roses, all this sort of stuff. It's all going to be generating money. Is that included in our extra additional turnover we're going to make? Surely additional season tickets, additional match day revenues, additional merchandise selling, plus all this other stuff. There's going to be a hell of a lot of money. I know we've got to pay off a debt, but that's going to get paid off no matter what, because you've built that stadium, you'll pay it off over a certain set agreed time, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. But the rest of the money is going to come in as revenue. And
the stadium is owned by the club. So if a band like Guns N' Roses hires the stadium to do a concert, if the NFL that money comes straight into the club, it doesn't go to ENIC, it goes to Tottenham Hotspur PLC. Yeah. So that money it's got to stay in the thing. The one advantage we've got in NX ownership model is that they have to announce the important things. So if, say, for instance, they pay a dividend to their shareholders, that has to be announced. Yeah. That has to be known, and so we will know if they're trying to take money out of the club or not.
Gotcha. Yeah. Absolutely. Simon asks a question here.
New stadium late.
He gave himself a bonus, didn't he? Daniel Levy gave himself a bonus for completing the stadium late.
That's right.
Well done,
Simon. We will get onto your question later. We're going to get on to Daniel Levy in a minute, so I'll bring your question up again when we get to that section of the show. One more comment here. Axl Rose will destroy the stadium, so I might have second thoughts about allowing him into my stadium. Well, just think how big that stadium is. We'll be able to see up his little skirt, won't we? His little what do you call it? The old kilt. Yeah, we'll be able to see up his kilt. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Rez, have you got any more financial tidbits for us?
Nothing that's particularly relevant. I think I've gone on a bit too much about finances. I'm actually sounding like Daniel Levy. I've got the bald head for it already.
Shame you didn't have that fez on. We can tell the difference between you.
That's right. But For me, it's a case of this. We can give Enoch one more chance. We can, because they have not been in a position where that stadium has been created. But this chance is different from all the other ones because there's nothing else that they can hide behind anymore. If they get it wrong, if they don't invest properly, that's it. They have no other excuses.
Go on, Gaz.
I've got a little caveat to that as well. There is one more chance if Daniel Levy takes a step back from all footballing matters.
Absolutely.
So he gets in a director of football, he gets in the correct manager.
Ralph Ragniak, maybe there's talk of that, isn't there? He's a director of football. There's Ralph Ragniak.
But he needs to say, right, this is the budget for this season. Say, for example, just a ballpark figure, £100 million. This is what you got to spend. You go out there and you find yourself whatever you need. So it might be a right back, 2 centre backs. It might be a new striker because Kane's going. You know, he's going to have a brief and then he'll say, that's what you've got to spend. I will not get involved. And that's what he's got to do. The only way that he can start possibly getting people back on side. But he needs to be up front. He needs to say, right, this is what we're doing. He doesn't talk a lot. I mean, like you said, as you mentioned about the program notes, he has to do that. It's the last home game. He always does it. And it is, as Jens said, it's a lot of hot air. He needs to come out and actually say to us, look, this is our vision. This is where we're going to be. There's rumours Harry Kane wants to leave. We're not going to let him leave. And then we're going to bring in XYZ manager. We're going to bring in a director of football. I'm going to step back. I'm not going to go to the training ground. I'm not going to get involved in any transfers. I'll just say, there's the money. You deal with the rest of it.
And if that guy fails, out you go and get someone else in. You know, you've got a budget, and if the investment doesn't work and doesn't pay off, then you've got to go and we'll bring someone else in. That's
for me, Daniel Levy needs to stand up and say, Daniel Levy needs to tell us where we're going.
Mm-hmm. Give you any confidence that he'll do that?
Not really, no. Even if he come out and said, look, we're going to sell Harry Kane because we're going to start afresh. We're going to bring in a manager who, for example, Ten Hag, who is good at working with youth, bringing youth through and progressing those players. But to do that, we're going to have to sell Harry Kane. But we're going to start Project Restart, for example. Do what we did with White Hart Lane. Flatten it and build a new stadium. To do the same with the squad. Flatten it, get rid of all the deadwood.
Yep.
Have people like Tanganga, Rodon, young players who are potentially got great futures. Build a team around them. Bit of experience as well. You know, keep Toby Alderweireld for a couple of years, maybe Lloris, whatnot. Yep. And sell Harry Kane. But we've got people like Dane Scarlett and Troy Parrott, potentially as decent strikers. Why don't we go down the road and £30 million on Ivan Toney from Brentford?
Yes.
Look what happened when Ollie Watkins went to Villa.
Yeah.
Like,
and that was a risk.
Young, hungry players who actually want to build a name for themselves in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, no, whatever route the club wants to go down, Levy needs to just come out and say, right, this is what we're doing, and explain the reasons behind it.
Yeah. Transparency, a bit of transparency.
Exactly, because nobody knows, really, do they?
No, we don't know what he's thinking, do we? That's what Harry Kane said in his interview today, wasn't he? Which is on one of my next talking points. He said that he needs to sit down with Daniel because he doesn't know which way he wants. Harry Kane doesn't know which way he wants to take the club, let alone ourselves as fans.
I was going to say I'm worrying for your kind of talisman.
Yeah. If he doesn't know the direction the club's going in, what hopes the rest of us got? The highest paid player, our best player, or our poster boy. If he doesn't know,
who else does?
Good luck the rest of us, which is quite worrying, as Gaz said, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that interview then today. Have you guys seen it yet? It's doing the rounds today. It was filmed, I think, on Monday when all the rumours from Sky started appearing on Sky News. It was Gary Neville playing golf with Harry Kane, and he basically said that he needs to, as I just touched on, he needs to sit down with the chairman to find out what direction he's going. If it's going to be another rebuild, that he wants to be winning the top trophies now, the Champions Leagues and the league titles, sort of alluding to the fact that he should be allowed to go if that's not where the club are heading over the next couple of years. And that he also managed to get in there, didn't he, that his value is only going to dip after this year. So maybe Daniel Levy would want to cash in this year before his stock starts to drop, so to speak.
Well, that's it. He said, didn't he? He said maybe he even wants to sell me if I'm worth £100 million.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I think Harry Kane's got quite a bit of clout though with Daniel Levy. I think
definitely, yeah.
Possibly, if this is true that he wants to leave and move on, it's going to either spark the club into actually, we need to do something now. I don't think it'll happen, but.
If you look at the lengths he went to keep Harry Winks and Dele Alli happy by sacking Mourinho, which is the talk, because Mourinho wanted to get rid of Winks and Alli and Levy didn't, you're going to think his love for Harry Kane's going to be a whole nother level. So you discussed earlier that he's got one last chance to get it right. I think he will go all out to keep Harry, won't he? I mean, even that Fabrizio Romano in his article said Spurs have got no intentions of selling him. So let's hope he pulls something out of the fire there. He knows what he's got to do to keep him happy, doesn't he?
Yeah, unless someone comes in and says like 150 million and we'll take him, I don't see him saying, all right, yeah, you can have him anything below 150.
That was another thing that Gary Neville said in that interview earlier, Gaz. Did you see that? He said if Daniel Levy comes along with, if someone puts in £100 million bid, and he said start with a 2 and then work your way from there. So,
but I can see where Harry Kane is. He said, I've got a quote here. So back in February 2018, so I believe this was before the stadium was anywhere near completion. He says, I close my eyes, I picture myself lifting the Premier League trophy at our new stadium with my mates. I'll trade my next 100 goals for that feeling. So you know how much it means to him to win a trophy for Tottenham?
Yeah.
But he wants to win a trophy, and at the moment, he can't, and none of us can see it. None of us are, well, the bulk of us, fans, let alone Harry Kane, can't see us winning a trophy.
No.
We got to a final not so long ago, and 6 days prior to it, we sacked the only manager who's beaten Pep Guardiola in a final. I know we didn't want him in there. We all got to the end of our time with him, but he could have had the rest of the season. Take the final on. You never know. He might have won it. He might have shithoused his way into winning that trophy.
Yep.
And we might have
it would have been a shithouse thing. Performance. It would have been frustrating them.
That was the only way we were going to beat him, wasn't it, Rez? By shithousing him, yeah.
It's like the 2-0 earlier this season.
Exactly.
Yeah, 2 shots.
And that was it.
Yeah.
We were in the game till, was it 70 or 80 minutes, weren't we? So it was working.
Yeah.
The Winks masterclass in midfield.
No.
Tommy, my old buddy Tommy here says, great show, boys, but if Brentford go up through the playoffs, can't see them selling Tony for less than 40 million, maybe even 50 million. He's that good. A lot of people are rating him quite highly. Tommy himself is a scout, so he's involved in the game. So
we should have got Watkins.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't really. I was quite bemused that Watkins got into the England squad before some of the other English strikers. Who's the guy at Leeds? Bamford. I thought Bamford was having a storming start to the season when he was scoring goals, some corking goals, and then Watkins got into the England squad and Bamford didn't. I mean, that Bamford has impressed me this season. I didn't rate him beforehand, but he has stepped up to the plate. I think
he's all round games, isn't it, Bamford?
Bielsa has said that he's impressed with how hard he works at his game. He reminds you of Harry in a way, doesn't it? That the same kind of comments that you get about Harry, how hard Bamford works at his game. David says, it's a shame Harry didn't close his eyes hard enough when he was imagining lifting that trophy at the new stadium. There's still time, David. There's still time. So after the shenanigans of Daniel Levy and his statement in the programme, we then had the Supporters Trust met with the board on Tuesday, didn't they? I think it was Tuesday. There was no time was given. And then after all their brave words all summer and meeting with UEFA and FIFA and the government and everything, they basically backed down completely, haven't they? And the meeting seemed to be on the agenda of this fan-led, executive that's going on the board and whatnot, and they seem to have agreed that that's a good way to go now, even though everyone can see the flaws in that, involving Daniel Levy and selecting that executive and stuff. What did you make of the statement from the trust? Let's go around clockwise, Gaz.
Yeah, it was kind of not a lot from it, really, was it? Other than the club apparently coming across as keen to get a fan on board and to be the first club to actually have a fan with voting rights on footballing matters. But yeah, it was not a great deal. They apparently threw a couple of questions in there and said about Kane, and the club said we're focusing on the rest of the season. Standard answer that they're going to give. I don't know. It's kind of just a pointless exercise in a way. We know the club are going to appoint a fan onto the board, so it's just got. It
looks like we're getting a live reaction video of Rez watching it as we speak, just reading the statement as we speak.
No, I don't. Again, in a febrile situation like we've got, it's. I'm a sort of a backer. I'm a member anyway of the Supporters Trust, and I do back them because of the work they do and the people that do it, and they work really hard. They really do. They give up their time. They're not paid for it. They're not in it to get anything. But in a situation like this, it's difficult to navigate things while trying to sort of get their own point across and also show that they're receptive without capitulating. The advisory panel thing is a good step. It is a good step. Whether it's going to work, we don't know. Again, it's one of those things where we've got to see what happens in the future, because my concern over it is the fact that we've got people elected as a non-executive, or people elected to the CAP, and the chairman, I think, becomes the non-executive director for a year. That, for me, is problematic, because how do you get continuity? How do you get, Daniel Levy doesn't get elected every year. A new chairman doesn't get elected every year. So the board and the club's view is cohesive and unidirectional, and doesn't alter because the main players involved don't alter. Whereas with the advisory panel, one year you might get someone who's, just as an example, fully ENIC out, is very hostile to the board, not necessarily at the meetings, but is, their position is one of opposition to ENIC, and will raise issues that the board may not necessarily want to hear. But then the next year you'll get someone who's fully, Levy's love child on the board, and is supportive of everything the club wants to do. So that, for me, means that it's diluted, it's been watered down. I think better, if you're going to have yearly elections, is you have yearly elections, but for only one position. Let's say you've got a board of 5. One position is elected every year. So each person serves for 5 years, right? And so board as a whole is not altered every year. And so the perspective that they communicate to the board via their chairperson, who becomes the non-executive director, is a reflection of something that's more continuous and cohesive, rather than something that will just flip and change and could be different from one year to another.
It's all structured to go against the face of transparency, isn't it? If Daniel Levy doesn't like the person that's on there, so you can get rid of him after a year. Yeah. It's not what's in the best interest of the fan groups, is it? It's what's in the best interest of Daniel Levy. Again, if he's got someone who's fly in the ointment, you can get rid of him after a year, and he doesn't have to go out with someone.
You can understand that from a business perspective, but it's not, either do it or don't do it. If you're really serious about fan engagement, show it, right? If you're doing it as a sop, people will see through it fairly quickly. People will be able to say, look, what's the point of it? it's yeah, I don't know. I just I think wait and see.
Yeah, suck it and see.
Yeah.
Jens, did you have any particular points to make on the supporters trust statement?
Never should have got rid of Ron Robson.
It's all gone to pot, hasn't it, since Ron Robson? Has he left yet, or is he still serving notice? He's gone, is he?
No,
back off to Mitchell and Butlers.
Yes, absolutely.
Never to darken our door anymore. Ron Alexander.
Yeah.
Ron Alexander himself. Let's lighten the mood a little bit. Let's try and stop ourselves from slitting our wrists and talking about the future or lack of the club at the moment. Let's try and open some of the questions up to the panel, some of our non-Levy based questions. So with Harry Kane, who's now on 220 goals, so close to Jimmy Greaves, 266 goals, all-time record. Do you see him returning, asterisk, if he does leave, like Teddy Sheringham, to cement his place in the history books? Is that the way he's going to have to go about it? Because I think he wants that record, doesn't he? So do we see him taking the Teddy path, him leaving to win a load of trophies and then coming back at the end of his career to chalk off those last 46 goals if he leaves this season? We'll start with Gazza there.
I was going to say, can we not loan him to Man City for a season? So, right, go and win a treble and then come back and then you can smash the record.
It's a bloody good question. If we did a loan deal for maybe 2 years, because that would be only the way we'd kind of guarantee getting him back. The problem with Bale when he left was that we couldn't afford to get him back, could we? It was like his wages and his transfer fee.
His
wages, yeah. So if it's a loan deal, I don't know how it stands with them paying his wages though. If he's still on the same wages that he'd be on at Tottenham if it was a loan deal, so maybe a 2 or 3 year.
Also, when we play City, he wouldn't be able to play against us because we're his parents' club.
Good idea. So if we did I did think that was a good idea, like a 2 or 3 year loan deal. They pay us a loan fee like we paid to Madrid, and he's our player. We keep him still, and then he comes back at the end of the 2 or 3 years to dot the I's and cross the T's of Greaves' record. The problem with that at the moment, how far away he is, 46. I mean, you wouldn't put it past him doing that in a year, would you? But it's a hell of an ask. I mean, Clive Allen did 49. It's 2 seasons, isn't it, Raz? So he's 28. It's going to take him to 30. Then his big money move's gone, isn't it? I mean, 30 years old for a player of his calibre is not that old, but transfer fee wise, it'd come right down when it says not ideal for Levy. But is that the way we see it going then, Rez? Do you think that's what he's going to have to do? He's going to have to leave and then come back?
I think if he leaves, I think he will come back at some point because it is his boyhood club. I don't want him to leave. I think I can understand why he wants to, but I if I was in his position, it would be a really difficult choice for me because it's not a money issue. He's paid enough. He's set for life. Ultimately, is the winning of a trophy that important to a player? That's not me saying is it, or I'm asking. I genuinely want to know whether or not it is that important for a player, rather than being the hero and having the reputation as being as a one club man. Those are the things that you're weighing: the silverware, or the higher likelihood of silverware, because there's still no guarantee, or whether or not he would become the icon of Spurs pretty much for forever. Came through the academy, one club man, broke all the records. You know, there would not be a more famous person associated with Tottenham Hotspur than Harry Kane, even above Bill Nicholson, even above him.
Greaves, you know? I mean, we said on Tuesdays. Yeah, go on, Jens.
Sorry. What he said in the video with Gary Neville was that he wants to win trophies. And, he wants to play in those massive games. That is what he's working towards. So, obviously, he wants to be a legend at Spurs as well. But I think the other bit is a bit more important to him at the moment.
Yeah, as we said on Tuesday, Rez, I don't know if you've seen the show, that we said is Harry Kane already a legend, or does he need to beat Greaves' record? But he's already gone ahead of Bobby Smith and Martin Chilwell, hasn't he? So who are both already legends of the club. So I think Harry already is a legend of the club, isn't he? He's already hit.
You know what? if he stays, this is my own personal view. I'd say he's a legend. If he leaves, a little bit of the shine would be knocked off for me. That's just my reaction to any player who leaves Spurs. You know, even the ones that necessarily we get rid of. You know, sometimes I sort of the affection drops a bit. You know, sometimes it goes up. Like with Jan, for instance, Jan Vertonghen. I made a point of that last time I was on. You know, I loved him, and I'm heartbroken when he left. But you know, when Berbatov left, I hated him. When Keane left, I had it was a real sore spot. When Carrick left, when Modric left, when Bale left, every time I loved these players while they were with us. When they left, some of the affection I had for them went with them. And even when someone like Bale came back, even, you know, when Sheringham came back, it wasn't, even when Keane came back, it wasn't the same.
No.
That leads us seamlessly on to the next question, actually, Rez. Apart from Teddy Sheringham, who's been your favourite return in Spurs hero? People that have left and then come back?
Funnily enough, I would say Jermaine Defoe. Because Bale, I thought might, but hasn't lived up to it. But when Defoe came back, you know, with him, it was like he didn't want to leave or anything like that. You know, we got rid of him and then we brought him back, and he was at the same level, you know, throughout. And he's been at like that. He's like 36 and he's still doing the same thing, obviously at smaller clubs. I've got
you upset the Scottish.
Yeah, really upset the Scots side. Yeah.
Do you know what it is? Is that my ultimate goal is actually to move to Scotland and live there. I love Scotland.
Yeah, I think that you might need to change those plans, Ross.
Yeah, I'm not sure that might take me away at the border. No, pal.
You're going to call yourself McResimus. McResimus France.
Yeah. But Jermaine, you know, he's 36, 37, something like that. He's still, you know, still playing, still doing well. You know, I've got so much respect for him, so much time for him, because he seems like a genuinely nice kid as well, or a nice guy as well.
Speaking of nice kids, the Yid kid says Bale, obviously. He's gone all in with Bale.
Yeah.
Got Jens, who's your favourite returning Spurs hero?
I'd agree with what Rez said about Jermaine Defoe, but I also, although he didn't quite put the performances in, but I loved Robbie Keane. When we first signed him, I remember I was jumping around like a madman, and he gave me so much pleasure over the years. When he came back, he didn't do as much, but yeah, I'd say Robbie.
It's what Rez said. The shine went for me when he left. He pissed me right off, and I never felt the same about him again. I did love Keane beforehand, but I think it was summed up by one of the games when he came back. Gaz, I think you were there as well. He kind of tripped over on the halfway line, didn't he? And the whole stadium started laughing at him. His after he'd gone sort of 7 or 8 games and he wasn't pulling up any trees, and it wasn't the same player, and you could see his confidence had been knocked after he left and stuff, and he kind of tripped over on the halfway line and the whole stadium were laughing at him, and that kind of summed up his second stint for me.
Yeah.
Gaz, so we've got some strong contenders there. We've got Defoe for Rez, Robbie Keane for Jens, and the Yid kid's gone for Bale. Who are you going to go for? You're running out of options here.
Pascal Kimbonda.
Yeah, he's on there. Isn't he?
Who's that coming over the hill?
With his gloves and all sorts in May time.
Man, yeah.
I don't know. Jurgen Klinsmann came back, didn't he?
That's true.
Mickey Hazard, he came back from Chelsea.
Hazard, yeah. I saw him in his second spell in my early days of going to Spurs. So, yeah, but for me, I think the overall winner is the same as both the other two guys, is Jermaine Defoe. I think he was the one who probably was more successful in my eyes, and forgiven by the fans as well.
Let's get a show of hands in the comment section then. Who's your favourite returning Spurs hero? We've also got, I'd bring Crouch into that because he did start. I saw him play for Tottenham as a young gangly 17, 18-year-old who played at Cheshire United, our local club, him and Ledley King. So he left to QPR to pursue his professional career, but he came back, didn't he? So Spurs haven't even got him on their own website. I might have to write a strongly worded email to Daniel Levy about that. It's got a list of players that left and came back. You got Tony Marchi in 1949 to 57. He left and came back. Big Tony Marchi. Jens, you can do a quiz on him next week.
My godfather, who's the one who got me into supporting Spurs when I moved to England, I've got a number of pictures of him with the 60-61 team.
Yeah.
And I think one of them is with Tony Marchi, or it might be with Mel Hopkins. I'm not sure. But
Tony Marchi was part of our 60-61 double in 1963 European Cup winning sides. Left half-back with height and creativity. What an apt man for you to get into Spurs over, Jens. Height. He had height and creativity.
Where's the creativity?
Yeah.
I just used to go in as hard and as fast as possible.
Creative ways of staying on your feet when you're drunk. That's where your creativity comes, isn't it? Then we've got Mickey. Then we've got Mickey Hazard. Obviously, we touched on Mickey, who left for Chelsea and then came back when we needed some talent, some playmaker. Teddy Sheringham, of course, who led us to talk about that question. Jurgen, one of you guys said he came back. Then after Alan Sugar threw his shirt on the floor and said he wouldn't wash his car with it, and he had to sort of swallow humble pie and welcome him back. Then when he rescued us from relegation that time. Yeah. When Rez started his love affair with Spurs.
Rez was there,
yeah, Rez was there. You should get a T-shirt, Rez, Mook Resmus. I was there.
Got a program actually somewhere up on my shelf. I'll dig it out next time.
Yeah, dig it out for next time. Yeah,
I'll dig it out.
Then we got Robbie Keane, as touched on. Defoe, who was Resmus's choice, and Pascal Chimbonda was Gaz's choice. So we've covered all of the bases there. Let's have a look at some of the comments here.
Shimbomba.
Yeah, Shimbomba.
Good old lady. Yeah.
Bunglebee asks what the question was. I'll put it up on the screen again for you, Bunglebee. Simon at Premier Hotspur TV has gone for Keno. The Yid Kid obviously went for Bale as well. Okay. So I reckon we've just basically said that all of the guys that came back in their own way were legends, apart from Keno when he fell over and everyone laughed at him. With Kane to Chelsea rumours around, Pat Jennings famously played for the other lot down the road following a contract fallout with the board. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? I think they thought they only offered him a 1-year extension and he thought he deserved at least 2 after everything he'd done for the club, which is hard to argue with, isn't it? And then he ended up playing, I think, another 7 or 8 years at Arsenal at the top level. So I think that was a stupid decision when not to give him 2 years. Absolutely ridiculous. So who is the best player to come the other way?
What, from Arsenal?
From Arsenal, yeah.
I can't think of that many.
No, I've actually got the list. I've got the list here, boys. So
Rowan Ricketts.
Right, so you've got William Gallas in 2008.
That's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, then you have Adebayor, 2011. David Bentley in 2008.
Is that
obviously via Blackburn, but
that's not directly from them, yeah?
No, not directly.
Right.
Rowan Ricketts in 2002, big Rowan. Laurie Brown in 1961, big Laurie Brown. Jens will be doing a quiz on him in 2 weeks' time. Clive Allen. Now, here's a little tidbit for you there. Clive Allen didn't actually make a single appearance for Arsenal. He was bought, signed in 1980 by Arsenal, played in I think 2 or 3 pre-season games, and then Arsenal were trying to get Kenny Sansom. Yeah. Arsenal were trying to get Kenny Sansom for Palace at left back, and they ended up. So before Clive Allen had even played a game for Arsenal, they swapped him for Kenny Sansom at the left back at Palace. So he never made an appearance for the Gooners, but he was actually signed by them.
Wasn't Sansom QPR?
It could have been QPR. Actually, you might be right. Was it? Maybe Clive had come from.
Because Clive Allen played for QPR. I know
he did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So,
but they wanted Kenny Sansom from Palace, I believe. So I think Clive Allen went QPR to Arsenal, maybe, and then Palace wanted. Obviously, Arsenal wanted Kenny Sansom from Palace, so Clive ended up going to Palace, I believe.
Okay.
If I've got that wrong.
Clive went from QPR to Arsenal,
yeah,
and then to Crystal Palace, and then back to QPR.
Oh,
And then-
right.
Okay.
That's right, because he liked playing. Yeah, he was under Terry Venables. I remember reading in his book, and he wanted to go back to QPR because that's what he liked, playing under Terry Venables, and he didn't have a good time at Palace. So a tenuous link. Harry Kane, obviously in 2004, aged 11, he left the Dirty Gooners. He was released by the Gooners at 8, and he went back to his club side, Ridgeway Rovers. Now, he actually went on to Watford after that. So when the Gooners always say he was an Arsenal player, he was at Watford for a 6-week trial, and Watford schoolboys played against Tottenham schoolboys. And then he got scouted, he got spotted playing for Watford against us, and then we offered him, basically we poached him from Watford. And also, there's one more, which is the big man himself, Big Pat. So this is from Wikipedia. After his retirement in 1985, he was still at Arsenal. Jennings returned to Tottenham Hotspur, playing mostly in their reserve side to maintain his match sharpness for Northern Ireland ahead of their 1986 World Cup campaign. So he retired at Arsenal at the end of the 85 season, but he was still going to the World Cup with Ireland. His final appearance for Tottenham was in the Football League Super Cup against Liverpool in January 1986. And this is a thing I didn't realise either. He was also briefly on Everton's books, having been signed as an emergency goalkeeper cover for the 1986 FA Cup final against Liverpool, when Neville Southall was injured in the lead-up playing for Wales. I never knew that.
No, interesting.
Yeah.
Every day's a school day.
Big Pat came back. Yeah, every day's a school day. So out of those boys, who do you reckon was our most successful player that we picked up from the scum?
It's got to be Gallas.
Simon's gone for Gallas, yeah. Gallas, you going for Gallas? He did it right, didn't he?
What about O'Hara?
Jamie O'Hara, yeah. I think that's similar to Harry, wasn't it? It was a schoolboy thing.
Schoolboy thing, yeah. I don't know. Adebayor did all right for us. Scored some crucial goals, didn't
he? He did.
That's true. Yeah.
Remember, we went down to watch Southampton game, didn't we?
Yeah.
Have you got another one? Have you got another one, Rez?
No,
Sherwood, wasn't it? He loved Sherwood. He used to do the old salute, him and Sherwood, didn't they? The old on the halfway line, the old.
Captain Bellend.
Who's that? Adebayor or
no, Tim Sherwood?
Yeah, the man in the gilet.
Yeah,
Gaz used to have one of them gilets, didn't he? I think he copied you though.
I still got it. I still work. Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Bunglebee says O'Hara left Spurs for talk. I did like that tweet the other day. He said Spurs relegation of fodder without Kane and Son, didn't they? And someone said you'd be working in Burger King or something if he wasn't for Spurs.
You'd be working in Wetherspoons if you took Spurs off your CV.
Yeah. The weird thing is, he turned around also in another tweet recently. He said Spurs aren't a top 6 club, and we were actually lying 6th at the time. It's like, God's sake.
Yeah. I can't. Bunglebee says can't wait for Defoe to return from Rangers to Spurs with grey hair and hearing aids.
Get it done, Daniel.
I'm 7 years older than him, but he looks 20 years younger than me, even now. You know, he's amazing.
Yeah, he doesn't drink. He looks after himself. He's big into his fitness and nutrition and stuff, isn't it? Just shows that it does work. Okay, so I think who are we going for then? Adebayor or Gallas? Gazza doesn't care otherwise. Like both scumbags, yeah.
I'd go with Gallas because Gallas didn't piss around at the end of his time with us, whereas Adebayor was apparently leading a lot of unrest when he first arrived. So Gallas, I think, for his honour.
Also, with Gallas, he had an amazingly deep voice, didn't he, Rez? Are you able to do an impression of that?
No,
you need to smoke a couple of Marlboros before you do it.
Maybe do some generic French.
Well, it was similar to that. You're not far off. I don't know what you're doing a Scottish accent for. You're trying to enjoy yourself.
All I can say to that is, okay, leave me to my Gauloise.
Bunglebee's on the wind up. He says he looks 20 years younger than you and he's 70. Charmed for sure. Charms for sure. I don't know who that's aimed at. Is that me or is that you, Rez? Do you know?
It's me.
Right, moving swiftly on away from that. The management hunt. Is there any news today? Has anyone said anything? Has anything happened?
Currently down to 4.
It's down to 4. It was 3 yesterday. How's it down to 4? It was 3. And it was down to 3 and now down to 4. Someone's thrown their hat in the ring.
No, I did hear the two.
Renyak and Ten Hag.
Raniak would be director of football, you'd have thought, wouldn't you? After Levy saying in his statement that we've wasted 150 million, you'd think Steve Hitchens' days are numbered, wouldn't you think? Yeah, so I reckon Raniak will be coming in as director of football with another manager.
We're being told that we'll be happy with it, whoever it is. So
yeah.
Really? Oh.
I saw on Twitter Gattuso.
Well, after his fight with Joe Jordan, maybe you could be just a manager.
Yeah. Terrific.
To fight with a brick wall.
Fucking hell, Joe would have just turned him into a smear on the grass. I don't know what he
would have wiped the floor with him.
It's like the Martin. I don't think he realizes how big I am. Stop. Incidentally, everyone's seen the Martin Yole interview on We Are Tottenham TV. They've released the whole thing now. It's brilliant. You should check that out. You'll like it, boys. Watch the whole thing. I
saw the bit when you found out about his sacking. I haven't seen the full yet.
Yeah.
Oh, superb.
The best bit was Ben and Sim said to him how much he meant to them and how much they loved him and they didn't want him to go, and that was the similar thought shared by most of the fan base, and that they just thanked him for everything he did for the club and how proud we were when he was manager. And you could see him tearing up and stuff. Martin, you could see him sort of doing a swallow, try not to cry. Yeah, it was really good. It was nice to see.
It's at the game where the news filtered out.
Yeah, I was at the game. Yeah, it was embarrassing.
It really was.
Everyone in the crowd knew, and the geezer was just standing around wondering why everyone's singing his name. Constantly for the whole second half of the game.
And he said in that interview earlier, he found out from his nephew, his young nephew, was staying with him in London at the time, and he said to him, apparently you've been sacked. What way to find out? Yeah, apparently you've been sacked.
That was at full time, wasn't it?
Yeah. Classy for evil.
Yeah.
They asked him about
Bungleby.
They asked him about the Arsene Wenger fight as well. He goes, I've got a picture of that up in my house, but it's in the toilet. It's in the toilet. Yeah.
Yes. Well,
he said it was a misunderstanding. He said he wasn't saying play on. He was just saying play, because we'd got possession of the ball. And he said that's one of the things he shouts, play, and as in move the ball quickly, play. He said it was and Wenger thought that he'd said play on when the two guys went down. But he did say it was two of their guys crashed into each other anyway, so I don't see why we should have stopped.
No, exactly.
For our younger fans, we were brilliant that day. The last game at Highbury, and we played them off the park, didn't we? We were absolutely brilliant. Carrick was different gravy.
Yeah.
You were there, were you, Jens?
I was I don't know how my brother sorted the tickets out. I don't know how we did
you were
it.
there. Awesome.
Yeah, I've got the program for that one as well. Still. So, yeah, I'll dig them out for next time.
Simon thinks it's going to be Graham Potter that comes in. Is he one of the four on your list, Gaz? I wasn't really looking at your fingers as you were. He was.
Pep Guardiola reckons he's the best English managerial talent. He's in high regard by Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
So.
I said before on here, Steve Perryman on his podcast said that he's got contacts wherever he. I think Steve went on loan when he was a young Spurs player to Hungary or somewhere. I'll look it up for next time. And he said the club that he went to, funnily enough, was the one that Graham Potter took up through the leagues in Hungary or wherever the country was. He took him up from
Sweden.
He took him up from the fourth division to the
Ostersund.
Yeah, Ostersund. Yeah. So he said, and they speak very highly of him, and he's looked because he noticed there was a young English manager out there when he first took over, and he's kept an eye on his career ever since, and he's very impressed with him. Very impressed with him. Steve Perryman knows his beans.
You'll know, mate. You'll know how much I've advocated for Potter recently. It's true. Look, the guy. Everyone says, "Oh, he's only got Brighton at 17." Yeah, it's true, but he's got the way he works. He works on psychological issues, which we desperately need at the club right now.
Yeah, he's got a degree in psychology.
Yeah,
was he?
And he's got a master's in leadership and emotional intelligence. I mean, come on, what more do we need right now?
And he plays a decent football.
And he plays a decent football.
He's exactly what we need, isn't he, on paper?
Far worse candidates, I'll put that. They might not be the best man, we don't know. There's no way of knowing until we appoint someone. But there are far worse candidates.
Martin Young type.
The way I always look at it, when he came in after Chris Hughton left, you can tell he's a talented coach because you could see his influence on the squad straight away. The way they started playing football, and that's why he's appointed, wasn't it? Because the Brighton owners wanted to play a better brand of football, and we all. I don't know about you guys, but I thought, what do they think they are? Bloody Brighton.
Yeah.
Why should they be playing good football? But then you saw them like a month, 6 weeks into the season, and they were knocking the ball around beautifully, and they're like, oh, bloody hell, he's got them going here.
He played
playing us off the park.
Yeah, Pep
He played
Guardiola
Pep's game a couple of days ago and won.
Yeah.
Against Sam Mendo, admittedly.
True.
Yeah.
And they'd all been smoking cigars and drinking Jack Daniels with Noel Gallagher the night before.
Singing away.
Yeah. They'd all had a pub lunch, seen the birds, had a couple of cigars, and we just weren't up for it at the time. I don't know why I'm doing it in a Cockney accent. They're from Manchester.
Can you do a Manchester accent, or you don't want to upset them?
Like from the
yeah, you got to start with Teddy, because the problem is I always drift off into Scouse. It's all Merseyside.
Don't get those two mixed up.
No, absolutely. I won't be welcome anywhere.
So he's now upset the Scousers, the Manx and the Scots.
I bet you're glad you came on, Rez. I've just fucking stitched you up.
I live in Holloway as well. I live in Holloway, or near Holloway, so that's Arsenal country. I'm not even welcome in my own home.
Whilst we were talking about Brighton, did you want to slag them off as well, so you can't go down south as well?
My brother went to Sussex University, so I've been to Brighton. It's a nice place, actually. I quite like Brighton.
What do you think of the Welsh?
Well, they're all right, It depends. You got to start off, if you want to do a Welsh accent, you got to start with the word antibiotics, and that always helps me get into the accent when I do the Welsh. But they're all right. They're all right.
I think Simon's from up north. He's just put the question up here on Premier Hotspur TV. He's so whereabouts are you from, Simon? Are you is it Manchester or up that neck of the woods? And he's also saying after Potter, go and get Conte. Bungleby says Conte is pragmatic and requires a checkbook, and we just had that. It didn't work. I tend to agree with him, but and he's got a dodgy wig on his head as well, hasn't he?
I was going to say he's got fantastic hair.
Fantastic hair. Oh, he's from Fleetwood. He says. Fleetwood. Can you do a Fleetwood accent, Rez, to piss all of them off as well?
I don't even know where Fleetwood is, other than that's where Jamie Vardy is.
Is it Lancashire, isn't it? Yeah, I think so.
Lancashire is actually one of the hardest accents to do in England, because a lot of people think that Lancashire is the same as Manchester, and it's not. Lancashire has got a lot of rolled R's, like you get in sort of places like East Anglia and the West Country, but it's also got that northwestern aspect to it as well, which is the influence of the Irish coming in. It's a difficult one.
There we go. Now we know it's outside of Blackpool.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
So yeah, Lancashire.
He's up on the beach. So, do you want to piss off the Blackpool lot by doing an impression, or? No.
I don't need to insult Blackpool.
No.
Blackbird. You just called him Blackbird.
When you can call them Blackbird.
Yeah. Accidentally insulted him.
Yeah. Well done. So the next question, from the ridiculous to the sublime. We were talking backstage here. We've obviously Rez has said that he's already renewed his. He did it a month ago, or when it first came out. Unfortunately,
beginning of this month.
And myself, Gazza, and Jens, we were saying we don't know where we are with it, or whether we, for the first time in our lives, I don't want the guy to have my money. I don't want to invest in the way he's leading the club, the direction it's going, and I can't find any convincing argument to renew my season ticket, which is sad for me to say. I mean,
it's a horrible thing to even consider.
Yeah.
I've been going to Tottenham for 2/3 of my life, physically going to Spurs, and I don't know. And I would say up until last week, up until the Harry Kane kind of story coming out, and it's kind of like I'm really now at 50-50. Before I was like, no, I'll get it if I don't fancy going to a game because things aren't working out my way, with how we're playing or our managerial recruitment, etc. I could put it on the ticket exchange, but it's kind of like, do I actually want to put money towards that fella? Dr. Evil, and I hate being in two minds about it. It's to be fair, it's pretty much nothing, but
yeah, it's a
it's
confidence.
it's a horrible thing for me to think about because I've had my season ticket constantly for years. As LJ would tell you, I was going on my own every week for a long period.
Till I got mine, yeah.
Yeah, because of the waiting list, etc.
What year was your first one, Gaz?
Mid-90s, I would have said. I can't remember exactly when it was, but
Now we worked.
I started going to Spurs 1990-91 season, and going to the odd game, and it was obviously building up. I mean, you had a membership, but you could literally turn up and go to a game back in the day. And took my brother, Dingle, Dan Tessa's brother, because at the time they were Everton fans, but they couldn't go to football because they weren't old enough to go with the older brothers. So they used to come watch Tottenham with us, and we used to have a good day out. And yes, I don't know.
It's sad to even have to consider it, isn't it? How, and again, it shows what the current status of the fan base is, isn't it? That people like myself and you are even considering not renewing. That's the strength of our feeling is that way inclined. Jens, what are your current thoughts on it at the moment? I know you've had the okay from the missus to do it if you want, but
yeah, after last night I was thinking, no, why should I bother? And then I woke up this morning and I thought, well, you know, they ain't always going to be there, Levy and Enoch, but Tottenham's always going to be there, and I'm still going to want to go to matches. But obviously, if it changes that much when it's just full of tourists every time who are not really following the game, they're taking photos and, you know, going down to get some popcorn 10 minutes before half time and then coming out 15 minutes after half time, and no singing. If you do try and sing or if you swear or something, the stewards are going to say, sit down or shut up, behave yourself. Like when I almost got chucked out of Paxton a few years ago. That
was this week, wasn't it? On your flashback I saw on Facebook. What happened? Tell us a story about that, Jens. What happened?
What was that?
When you actually got asked to sit down in the Paxton?
Oh yeah. I was I wasn't going to go to the game, and then at the last minute I decided, and the only seat that was available was in the Paxton, and I think there was a dodgy decision, and I stood up and let off a foul-mouthed tirade, and the woman stood next to me. Had a right go. This is a family stand. How dare you talk like that? Blah, blah, blah. And I just turned around and I said, "Love, it's a football match."
Yeah.
And she said, "I'm a season ticket holder. I've been a season ticket holder for this long." And I just turned around and said again, "Love, it's a football match." And her boyfriend was sort of stood there like he was only little, so I just went over him. So he wasn't saying anything, but she was having a right pop. And then the steward came over and said, "Look, mate, as the lady said, it's the family stand, so keep your voice down."
At least Rez only upset Scotland. You've just upset half the world population. All right, love, sit down. This is a football ground.
You know, you're nothing but a sexist, Jens. All right.
Yeah, I should have called her Love, should I? But
yeah, that was the error in all of that. Yeah. That circumstance, yeah.
So I don't know if you know this, but apparently memberships, the club have sent an email saying that your membership will be automatically renewed and your money will be taken out of your account.
Yeah.
2 weeks earlier than normal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That bodes well for the management announcement, doesn't it?
Yeah, somebody replied to it and said, "Well, what are you doing that before we know what manager's going to be taken over?"
But
so
I get one. I get one for Olivia and for my little one, and her goodie pack is always better than the adult one.
Yeah,
she's got like water bottles and. Sorry.
Let's stop the goodie pack now. It's a £15 voucher, isn't it?
Yeah, that's for the adults, but for the kids, they still get a goodie pack. And last year it was really good. We had a small football, a folding sort of small net, a backpack, and a water bottle, and it was. Yeah. I was well happy with it. She wasn't. Yeah. She don't care.
It was the way the email was worded, Jens, wasn't it? It was like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll be automatically deducting your money on this day." I was like, "Oh, yeah, thanks for that." So I've got two nephews, and I've got two lots coming out, and I was tempted to stop the standing orders or the direct debits earlier. Yeah. That's how pissed off I was after last night. I was tempted to stop the direct debits, but yeah. So
the one thing I say to you guys, who haven't renewed yet. No. What you say, Jens, is correct. Yeah, they're not going to be there forever. Or even if they are, again, we've still got that one possibility. I know it's a very slim hope, but how would you feel if you didn't renew and then all of the hopes of what we want them to do, they actually do?
It's the hope.
It comes in my head all the time. What if it's that one season we actually win the Premier League title or we do something stupid?
You need to endure for a couple of seasons because it will be obvious if they're serious about what they say they are. If they are, it will be obvious. If they're not, I'll give up my season ticket. I've only had one. I haven't even gone to a game under one yet.
Leading on from that, the current
with your the membership you've got for the kids. Did you get a refund last season? Bearing in mind there was no games.
No, they just guarantee you access.
It's just a membership. Yeah, it's
just access to the games.
Yeah, get emails and stuff.
I just wondered if it was anything that was an option of getting a refund.
It's almost worth it for the card and the little email you get because they got Sonny to do it last year. They send you an email saying like, "Hello, the kid's name. I heard it's your birthday," and they did a little video and stuff. So the kids are overjoyed with that. They see Sonny dancing around and they think that you sent them a special birthday message. So that's one thing they do.
I didn't come off for my birthday this year. The fuckers. It's the first time.
I don't think I. No, mine's actually in a couple of weeks. So
I'm not sure that I did.
I got 15% off the third shop. About it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one thing they've added to the perks this year. It's quite funny. There's another Daniel Levy classic. It says, as part of your kids membership pack, you get a free admission to the stadium tour, asterisk, when accompanied by a paying adult. Like they're going to go on their own, aren't they? Like a 4-year-old just walking around the stadium aimlessly.
You're right, Harry.
Going on. Yeah. So he gives with one hand and he takes with the other, doesn't he?
Where am I, Mummy?
Yeah, left with Chirpy. Who's this horrible-looking duck on a netball?
Imagine like the evil version, sort of like packed in a closet somewhere. This little 4-year-old opens the door and you get that evil bird looking at him.
Mummy, there's an evil man looking at me. That's just Daniel Levy. So Gaz, speaking of like the current situation and how disengaged it's left us feeling, it leads us on to my next point, that Arthur Everett video, which I think we've all seen today, the elderly fan who goes on David's channel quite a lot, the Irish Hotspur. He's top geezer. I don't know if you've watched his video when he does a Q&A. David asks him about when he first went to Spurs, and he goes on his show I think it's Monday night. David does a fan show, and Arthur's on there every week, and he's a top guy. He's absolutely brilliant. I don't know how old he is, but he's put out that video today where he's really upset. I mean, he's seen it all. I think he started going in 1958. He saw the 61 double team and stuff. He's been going all those years, and to see how disengaged and distraught he was, and it was the tone of it as well. Like Rez was saying, it wasn't even like wasn't angry. He was just like, "Please, Daniel, help us. We need investment here." He was in despair, wasn't he? So, any viewers out there that haven't seen it yet, it's on. A lot of people have retweeted it on the Spurs family on Twitter and YouTube. But if you want to go and like and subscribe, Arthur's just launched his own channel, which David helped him get up and running. I think it's called Ask Arthur. So if you can go after you've finished with us today, if you can sort of search for Ask Arthur, I'll put a link on our Twitter as well. If you can go over there and like and subscribe. Arthur's channel. I think he had 12, 16 subscribers there, and he was up to nearly 60 when we went on the stream here. So if everyone could go and like and subscribe to him. So I know Arthur's going to be doing some more videos, but you will like him. He's a top geezer, and to see him, to see him upset wasn't good.
No,
go on, Gaz.
No, I'd just say I'd like to give him a hug. That's my first video I've seen of him because I wasn't aware of him beforehand. But I'll subscribe and watch his videos. He conveyed how a lot of people are feeling, really. But obviously, he's been through all the real good times, seeing us win the league, etc. None of us have seen that, so. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And to see him at that low after last night, it kind of rung true with the way that we're all feeling, sort of disengaged with it, angry, upset at the same time.
Yeah.
Not good. So to try and raise our spirits after discussing Arthur and how upset he was, it's that time of the night, Jens. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The ticker is there. It's time for your quiz of the week. Last week was on the big man, wasn't it? The departing Spurs board member.
Yeah.
What's his name? Big Ron Robson. Big Ron Robson, who's now gone. We think it was his leaving do last night in the South Stand, don't we? We think Daniel just gave 1,000.
He was the one who was dancing and singing.
Yeah, he was the drunk kid up and smiling, upsetting everyone else.
Singing "We Want Robbie Out."
Yeah. He's fleeing the sinking ship, isn't he? So are you ready, Jens? Are you going pen and paper, or are you off the top of your head again? Have you got your notes in front of you there? Is Sue's ready with Google to cheat again?
Have you limbered up?
How dare you cheat?
Question 1. I guess we should give some context to it, really, shouldn't we? So a few weeks ago, when we discussing Pat Jennings with one of Jens's friends who was on before, Kev, and he mentioned told us some of the interesting stories about Pat Jennings Jr.'s son nearly poleaxing his own son in youth football. So we last week we looked into where Pat Jennings Jr. is now because Kev thought he might still be playing. He was 41 and playing in Ireland, and we looked on his Wikipedia bio, and one of the main story topics was that he'd saved a penalty from a guy called John Mountney. That was what, for some reason, Wikipedia thought that was newsworthy to tell that in a cup game in Ireland, Pat Jennings Jr. had saved a penalty from John Mountney. Is Jens putting on a John Mountney outfit or something? Has he got a costume over there? Is he? He's putting on his hat. It's your lucky Spurs hat, is it? So you got to wear. So every week you got to wear it when you do the quiz. Then, right? It's your quiz hat. Jens' special lucky quiz hat. Cool. Have you got the beige jacket as well? Where's the beige Spurs jacket? Lucky Spurs jacket. That's how we used to be. That's how we used to be able to spot Jens in the Park Lane, wasn't it? When you used to look for his beige jacket in
I've still got that one.
In a sea of white and blue, you'd see one 8 foot tall man in a beige jacket and an Oasis cap. I think Rez was dressing up in John Mountney. I've got a feeling there's another hat coming on here. Guys, have you got a hat in the background?
Yeah,
it's the big reveal from Rez. Oh God, here we go. It literally will be a hat trick, won't it? All three of you in hats. Boom. I better do some. Oh, here he goes. Oh, Jesus Christ. Gaz, it looks like a rapper from LA. What's your rap name?
Big Gazzy Gaz.
Look at that.
The Amersham window cleaner.
The Amersham window cleaner, yeah. Tap. When that man's tapping on your window, you better be scared. Where's Rez got to? Rez, are you nearly there? Are you gone for a cigarette? Or is he? I bet he's looking for a fez, isn't he? He's coming. Did he say I'm putting the kettle on? I think we'll have to put the kettle on. Let's have a look in the comments section whilst we. They do run. They do run. Says Bungleby. I'm sure this is enthralling content for the viewers. Just free hat every week. 3 random men putting hats on, yeah.
Okay, I've got a better,
We wait.
better option.
Oh, Gaz has disappeared again. He's got a better hat. So come on.
Hang on.
I couldn't find the one that I wanted.
That's not Fez.
Is that your Spurs sombrero?
No, that's the thing. I had this one that was like from ages ago, really thick and woolly, and it's sort of like mushroomed up. It's like, do you know those '90s ones they used to wear up in Manchester? You know, in the sort of places like when they went raving and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that.
Mushroomy one. It's sort of like, but woolly. You know, I had one of those. I couldn't find it anywhere.
Oh, like Jamiroquai kind of hat.
Yeah. This is the only one I've got. It's the one I wear. So
you've all got your lucky apparel.
Oh, yeah.
Is that apparel. On to wish Jens luck. So are you ready, Jens? And we shall begin the quiz. So the only man to have his penalty saved by Pat Jennings Jr.
Yes.
Question 1. Are you ready? Gaza is singing your praises. Go on, Jens. Right, you ready? Question 1. You've gone all blurry there, Jens. Is that?
Yeah, I know.
You've gone excited. Oh, there you go.
it's the hat.
What is Big John Mountney's current club?
St. Patrick's.
Should we let him have the point there? He didn't get the athletic, but
Yeah, that's a bloody good effort.
it's a good effort.
Yeah,
One from one. You started well last week, so don't fail us now. Question 2. How old is Big John Mountney?
28.
He is 2 from 2. Jens is flying. The glider is flying. Right. Question 3. Here we go. What was the score when a John Mountney-inspired Dundalk played the Scum this season at the Effeminates in the Europa League?
3-1, wasn't it? 3-0.
Oh,
You boys giving him half a point or not? For the 3 or
Yeah.
no?
Yeah.
2.5. Yeah, I'll use my thumblet. 2.5. Question 4. How many international caps did Big John Mountney earn for Republic of Ireland under 18s?
2.
Correct.
Very good.
3.5 out of 4. I can't keep my finger down. That's one I hurt at football the other day. Ouch.
Did you go the same page as you, LJ?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's probably got it printed out. He's got it printed out in front of him there. Question 5: how many career goals has the big man smashed home?
21.
Oh!
Did your screen go blurry?
No, I'm sorry, mate. I got it written here. It's 21. You're lying.
Have you got 21 written down? Have you? You have. Les, do you want to quickly Google John Mountney and see what that is, and if I've taken it down wrong? In the meantime, question 6: how tall is Big John Mountney?
Shorter than you.
6 foot.
He is. Oh, he is.
Wow.
I've lost count.
What was the question? Appearances.
The goals.
No.
How many career goals has the big man smashed out? If you look at the bottom there, how many goals overall has he scored?
Ruling is 21.
Is it?
It is 21, yeah.
Sorry, Jens.
It is 21. 1 for Merv United and 20 for Dundalk.
That's right.
Blimey.
Yeah, 21.
Sack the quizmaster.
I tell you, you were trying to cheat me out of my glory, aren't you?
Yeah, so we got Johnny up.
That's quite impressive. That's 5.5 out of 6.
Yeah.
Right. Question 7. Big John Mountney has proudly made 33 appearances in the Europa League and Champions League combined, but how many goals has he scored in Europe?
None.
Oh.
Just Googling it.
Whoa! 6.5 out of, or 5.5 out of 6.
1.
Yeah, 1,
Yeah.
yeah. And for a bonus point, who was that goal against?
Oh.
You didn't even know he scored it, so I don't know how you're going to know who he scored it against. It's going to be an art.
FK carrier bag.
It's a club I've never heard of. Look, it's
I know them, yeah.
Jeunesse Esch of Luxembourg.
Yeah.
He scored
They're
in 3.
famous. They're famous in the Netherlands.
Are they?
Oh, massive, mate, massive.
Are they?
I Jeunesse Esch because I've got a friend who's Luxembourgish.
Oh, right. Are you going to do a Luxembourg accent to piss all them off as well?
There isn't one. It's
there isn't one.
This mishmash of weird things.
French,
there's 4 different languages over there, so it's.
Oh, really? Okay.
It reminded me of Star Trek.
Really xenophobic as well. I mean, I don't look that Middle Eastern, which is where I'm from. But when I go there, I get weird looks from pasty-faced people on the bus.
Yeah, I've apologised about that, Rez.
Sorry, man. No. Look, it's still what can I do? You're not Danish enough, and then you have a go at me for not looking white enough. What can I do?
The master race, the Danes. So, what did you get there? 5.5 out of 8 or 6.5 out of 8?
6.5 out of 8.
6.5 out of 8. Gaz, in future you can be the official scorer. Well done, man. That's better. You did better than Big Ron Robson.
Yeah.
So what's your quiz on next week? I said a minute ago, didn't I? I'll have to look back and
Tony Marshy.
Yeah, Tony Marshy quiz, the big Tony Marshy quiz. Yeah. So as we look to bring down this week's podcast, finally our thoughts turn to Leicester on Sunday. After last night's shit shower, do we have any lineup predictions? First of all, how do you think Mason's going to play it after last night? We'll start with you. We'll go clockwise again, Gazza.
Well, obviously with no Tanganga because I think he's pretty much knackered. So I would imagine probably Doherty because I don't know how close Aurier is into being back for starting. So,
and he came on last night, didn't he?
He surely can't go for Winks again, but I don't know. Who knows? It's probably going to be a very similar side, barring Tanganga coming out and someone else coming in. Probably Doherty. Bale will probably be back because he.
Yeah, I thought Bale will play.
Yeah, so I won't be watching it anyway.
No,
I'm at Brands Hatch.
You're the Grand Prix, aren't you? Yeah, or whatever it is. Is it Grand Prix or motorbikes or something going fast?
Yeah, GT racing. But yeah, after last night, I won't be bothering anyway.
Guys, any thoughts on team lineup before we do the score and scorers predictions?
Winks and Sissoko.
He might bring Sissoko in for Winks, mate.
Would not surprise me. Nothing he does will surprise me. Nothing at all. And I've got absolutely no hopes for the game at all.
I'll be watching it. But
Simon's geeing us all up here. Who cares about Sunday? So nothing going. Well, it's not enough. Yeah, I'm coming on to that in a minute. I've got the table and the fixtures, so we'll have a little look into that in a minute. So
I'm going to predict the Tottenham win.
You are.
Because we win one, lose one, win one, lose one.
You reckon? Jens, lineup wise, Gazza and Rez covered it all there.
Yeah, Winks and Sissoko, definitely.
How the hell speaking of Sissoko, how the hell has he made the France squad and Ndombele hasn't? What's all that about? Yeah. Madness, isn't it? At least Tanguy can put his foot up and eat more KFC over the summer, can't he? Where he can come back early and get into pre-season, get a proper pre-season into him without Mourinho knocking on his door.
Now that the takeaways are opening as well, he's got.
He can eat in as well as take away now, can't he?
Exactly. So he's got KFC, Burger King,
Chick King.
I've heard.
Tennessee fried chicken.
Tennessee fried chicken, yeah. Kebab somewhere,
What's that chip van called, Gaz? Get your chips here, boy.
Little brother, isn't it?
Has he relocated since they've rebuilt the stadium? Because Daniel Levy's like on top of where he used to be, isn't he now? His offices.
Yeah. He was the Colonel, wasn't he?
Oh, he's fucking certainly the Colonel.
Get your bags, Jumbo.
Jump on, is that what you used to say? Jump on.
Jumbo.
Oh, Jumbo. I think it's jump on.
Jumbo, yeah.
Score and scorers prediction. Gazza, what's your prediction for the game? Scores and who's
on the back of my win one, lose one, win one, lose one. I think we'll probably win, I don't know, 3-2. I'm going to go for a Kane hat-trick. Kane 3, in hat-trick 2.
We just had a comment as to regards the team lineup from Hully. He says, if Winks plays a game for this club, I'll cut my wife's balls off. Dear.
Nice one, Marky.
So you've got 3-2. Who's getting the goal? Sorry, Gaz?
Kane hat-trick.
On what could be his last ever game for Spurs.
Yeah.
And
he's going to assist all 3, so he wins both the Golden Boot and the assist award.
How's he going to assist himself? Like chip it up and then roll it in?
Chip it up and then, kick it over, run 500 miles an hour and then ping it in.
If he wins the penalty, surely he gets the assist for the penalty as well. So he could do that.
Yeah, but
that's how we do it.
I don't know.
Simon's gone for Leicester needs a win to reach the top 4. Yeah, they do, to secure Champions League. And I'd rather not get Europe and just concentrate on one game a week next season. Problem with that, Simon, is that we were awful this season when, remember, Mourinho made a big thing that we didn't have a midweek game. Twice, there were 2 occasions when we had 7 days between games and we absolutely stank the place out, didn't we, both times. So, yeah, the players seem to prefer playing to training because they just seem to have no energy, no match sharpness and nothing. He's also gone for 3-1 Leicester. Can we have your goal scorers, please, Simon? Your 3 goal scorers. Gaz has gone for 3 for Harry Kane. We'll go Jens next. Score prediction and scorers for Sunday.
7-0 Spurs. Winks double hat trick.
3 with his right, 3 with his left. And he'll hit the 7th with a header.
2 perfect tricks.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I'm not going to allow that sitting on the fence, Ron Seal box here, mate. So can we have a realistic prediction?
No, I reckon we'll probably go and beat them because they're going to be coming at us, aren't they?
It'll be the Spurs
so
thing to do, wouldn't it?
We'll hit them on the break, and I reckon 2-1.
I think deep down I actually think we'll lose, but
you're doing an anti-jinx, are you? Just predicting a loss.
No. It's typical Leicester. They've had that thing before, and they've just dropped out the Champions League last minute. And
yeah.
It could be one of those high games, and we just nick it.
Yeah. Oh, so Simon actually meant 3-1 to Leicester. Vardy 3 and Kane 1. Sorry there.
I reckon Kane and Moura, because I reckon Moura will play a part.
Stevie did it right the other day, I'm sure. We think Bale will play off the right, don't we, as well? So I don't know if Moura will get involved. Dele Alli was quite crap, wasn't he? So you never know.
But since when has that stopped Mason?
Yeah. Rez, what's your score prediction and your scorers?
We're going to have a new one ripped for us.
That's the spirit.
I reckon 4-2. And it'll be Vardy, old steptoe, will hurt us a lot.
Putting us this. Do you want to do a steptoe impression to upset East Londoners before we leave?
You dirty old man.
Dirty old man.
Pissed off all the West Ham fans. Good.
Yeah, but who gives a shit about them? If I wanted to do a West Ham impression, I'd be like going. Sorry, West Ham fans. Exactly. I really think they're going to rip us a new one on Sunday. I really do. They've got something to play for. We don't. Actually, that could work in our favour because usually when we don't have something to play for, that we actually put in the effort, ironically. But they don't succumb to pressure like we do. So much. It's a question of fitness. If they're fit, I don't think that they'll succumb.
The galling thing as well, because we don't really get on with Leicester. Me and Gaz had an incident with Leicester fans, didn't we, on the train? They were right arseholes to us. And Harry Kane and the Tottenham players are going to have to put up with them giving him shit and parading the FA Cup around as well, aren't they, in front of him? So it could wind up the players. You never know. It might be something to wake them up.
Maybe.
It's their sod's law. It's the first game their fans are going to be in as well, isn't it? So
yeah, that's the other thing.
With the FA Cup, they're going to be cock a hoop trying to get Champions League. It's not looking good, is it? It's all set up to fail. So, what's your score prediction and scorers, Res?
4-2.
Vardy
hat-trick.
Our goals?
Our goals, Kane and... Oh, fuck it. Let's see if I can actually wish a goal on him before the end of the season. Kane and Son.
Kane and Son. With that in mind, then, let's have a look at where we are on the table and all the possible permutations. I'll just share the table up here. Hang on, boys. 2 seconds.
We can't get relegated, can we?
No, we can't, but it's...
No.
It's
that would get moving in the pocket, wouldn't it?
But it could be St Otteringham's Day.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So can you see that, boys, or shall I make it bigger?
No, it's fine now. I can see that.
I can do the whole thing. So the fixtures are at the bottom there. Everton have got Man City. Everton on the same points as us. We've got a better goal difference, so we can hold them off if we match their result. Arsenal 1 point behind. We've got a better goal difference to them. They're not going to. You wouldn't have thought they'll beat Potter's Brighton 7-0, would you, or 8-0?
No. With
our results. Or Leeds, I left Leeds on there to show that they can go above Arsenal just for shits and giggles. They can go to 59 if Arsenal lose, so Leeds can go above them, and Arsenal will be 10th. West Ham have got on paper an easier game than us, haven't they? Southampton at home. Yeah. So you think that we can still, our goal difference is better than them. So if they lose and we win, we can still pip West Ham. But it's a big ask, isn't it? And so Everton have got Man City. So you'd think Man City would put them to the sword, their last home game of the season, parade in the Championship trophy before they head off to the Champions League. So it could go either way. They dropped their levels the other day, didn't they? So I think Pep will have them going again, money for this game after they lost to Brighton the other day. So you'd think City will put Everton to the sword. So it looks like West Ham on paper have got the easiest game, so they should secure 6. How do you see it all going, boys? First of all, we'll go to Jens. Where do you think? Well, the question is, where do you think we'll finish up after looking at all those permutations?
9th.
9th, serious?
Yeah.
What you think? Everton and Arsenal will both pip us. Well, that means Everton win at Man City.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Okay, 8th then.
Yeah, Arsenal. Yeah. That's the I think 8th gets that shitty conference thing, doesn't it, as well? So we don't really want it. 7th, is it? Okay. Gaz, how do you see it all panning out?
It'll be sod's law we win and then finish in European spots and stuff. So we won't get a break to kind of just concentrate on the league. But I don't know. It's West Ham at home, got their fans back. I can see them winning. I can see Everton losing. I can see Arsenal winning. We would need to win. It'd be nice to finish above West Ham and Arsenal, but I don't see it 100% that way.
Yeah.
But no, like I keep saying, deep down, I think Leicester will beat us, but they're trying to get top 4 places. So the rest
could go anyway, couldn't it?
Depends on the players.
I can't see Everton winning, but Arsenal and West Ham I think will win, and I don't think we will win. So Arsenal will have 61, West Ham will have 65, so we'll be 8th, won't we?
Yeah.
If it goes that way, one thing I was thinking that Brighton are a bit of a bogey team for Arsenal recently.
They are actually. Yeah, good point.
That's the only sort of bright spot.
We can only hope.
Yeah.
And you get some weird performances on the last day of the season, don't you? Like a relegated Newcastle beating us 5-1 when we were second a few years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon Brighton will hold Arsenal to a draw, and that'll put them on 59, and we will finish above them on goal difference. I reckon we'll finish. I reckon Everton will lose and West Ham will win. So I think the table will look. We'll be 7th, Arsenal 8th, Everton 9th. West Ham 6.
Jens, what are you going for? So Gaz has gone 8th. Rez has gone 7th.
I'll go 8th.
Simon watching's gone 8th. Anyone else? I can see there's 16 people watching. If you could put your comments as to where you think we'll finish, the other people watching. Obviously, Simon's gone 8th. There's also a question from Simon as well. If Leicester miss out on top 4, I think Rodgers may think about coming to us, guys. What do you think?
I'd take him.
Possibly, yeah.
I don't think it'll be dependent on how Leicester finish. If Rodgers was going to come to us, it would have already been done. I'm not saying it has or it hasn't, but it won't be dependent on where Leicester finish. The other thing you got to bear in mind, he's paid 10 million a season by Leicester.
Is he?
And he's still got 4 years on his contract.
Ouch,
so think about the expense to buy him out of that contract.
That's right. We're selling Harry Kane with that load of money.
Yeah. That's why a lot of people. That's why a lot of people have been saying, "Well, Rodgers." It's like, guys, it will be so expensive to get him. You know. So yeah, I don't think Rodgers will come if they end up 4th or 5th, wherever they end up, because it's just too expensive. Not because we wouldn't want him.
I haven't got the 4th and 5th on my graphic here, have I? That was a boo-boo of me. How close is it? Who's 5th at the moment? Is it Leicester 5th? Is it
Leicester,
Liverpool 5th?
Yeah.
Liverpool went above them and got difference.
Going back upwards.
Gotcha. So they need to batter us, basically, do they?
Yeah.
Good God. As Ollie Brown has said, good grief. It's not looking good. It's all teed up for a battering, like you said, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not good.
I'd say fair play to Leeds, though, for finishing 10th.
Yeah, great first season, isn't it? Let's hope Arsenal lose and they finish above them.
Yeah. And they play the same style of football every week. It doesn't matter who they're playing against.
Yeah.
Good on them.
7th, so we've got 7th and 8th. Julie's gone for 9th. Oh dear, that would be the icing on the cake for this season. Let's bring that up for a. Yeah, it might send Levy a message and be a good lesson for him, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Lack of European football. The TV money, like Rez said earlier, is big, isn't it? So obviously it's not as big as Champions League money, but Europa money from ITV and BT is going to be a good wedge, isn't it?
Yeah, and also players want to play in Europe.
Yeah. Conversely, it's going to affect our. Yeah.
55 million from the Champions League when we. So it's not a small wedge. It's not a small wedge.
So if we do miss out, it's going to affect our transfer budget, isn't it?
Potentially.
Or lack thereof, potentially. But as Rez displayed earlier on his spreadsheet, there's no reason that they can use that as an excuse not to spend anything.
Or will it? Will Mr. Kane get his own way and Levy goes mental?
Yeah.
We waste the money again.
We don't want another magnificent seven. We want a good selection, not just a scattergun approach that we did last time. We only got really Ericsson out of that deal that was any good. Some say Lamella as well, but
Chadley.
And we only got
Chadley scored some important goals for us.
He did.
New Ronaldo, I used to call him.
Yeah.
We finally replaced Bale this season with Bale.
Yeah.
The new Ronaldo, but you're talking about the fat one from Brazil, aren't you?
If only.
He's talking from the waiter from the local Italian restaurant.
Rez, Italian accent?
Italian. It's a difficult one to do, but it's not bad, sometimes it's...
I think you could pass as Italian.
My friend.
Pass as Italian.
Listen,
you need to eat the pasta with the good olive oil.
So, from the highs of the John Mountney quiz to the lows of us predicting 9th place finishes and that Leicester are going to batter us, it leads me nicely onto our last question here. Can you guys leave us with something positive to finish on today? We'll go around clockwise again. Gaza, leave us something positive to class hold off here.
There's only one game to go.
Yeah, we'll have that. Raz?
We might find out on Monday who our new manager is.
Yeah, that could go positive or negative, though. Like,
we need to know before season
actually,
it will at least get the speculation out of the way. If we find out, at least know then, be it positive or negative. That in itself, the knowing is the positive point, not necessarily who it is.
Before I go to Jens, if you guys in the comments section can try and leave us with some positivity to finish on after a horrible couple of days again. Never a dull day being a Spurs fan, is there? But if you guys can put some positive vibes in the comments section for us to cling on to, that's bought Jens another 30 seconds of thinking time as well. So Jens, can you give us some positive spin to put on?
Well, I've heard a rumor that there's a real possibility that they're going to have Stinking Bishop in the cheese room next season.
Is that a stripper name?
There's a skipper called Stinking Bishop.
Wizard sleeve. I don't
know. You obviously don't go to the strip clubs that John does.
Yeah.
Existence, haven't I?
Speaking of wizard sleeves, Simon's brought up Harry Potter and his magic wand again. That could be one positive if we get Potter in.
Possibly.
So we've got a new brand of cheese. Possibly getting our new manager. And the fact that there's only one game left. Dear, should we all go and slit our wrists now, guys?
What's it positive, Belgium?
Huh? You don't like cheese?
I could go into a long monologue here. I get whenever I have cheese, I get cheese rage the next day. Like literally, it's mad. Honestly, I feel really like the Incredible Hulk. Every time I have cheese, I feel like killing everyone the next day and beating everyone up, and I'm really irate and angry. So I get cheese rage. So I try and steer clear of it as much as possible.
Does the severity change by the type that you eat? So, like, is it cheddar? Is it just like mild irritation? Stilton is like full on outrage, and then something like Stinking Bishop as your head explodes.
we could do some experiments each week. I'll eat some cheese on a Wednesday night to see how I am on a Thursday for the show. That's the kind of content you guys out there want to see, isn't it? Me eating cheese to find out which one makes me the most angry. On that note, I guess we should add these 2.5 hours. Blimey, we've been on for a long time, so I guess we should make our excuses to leave for the night. Thank you, Simon, saying great show, Johnny and the guys, nice one and great panel. It certainly was a great panel. Gaza, Jens, and is it Optimus? It's a kind of a play on Optimus Res, isn't it? Resimus Prime. Yeah.
So this is the name that basically I ended up with. My actual first name is Shahriar.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to pronounce, and so I chose another sort of classic Iranian name, Reza, to be referred to, and that got shortened to Rez. And because I'm a Transformers fan, my handle on Facebook is Resimus Prime, and then myself. And so and a lot of my friends call me Resimus anyway. So
so I think you should put your real. Like, Jens is just going in and out of focus. I think that sums up Spurs. He's a Chelsea, doesn't it? That's just your normal eyes, isn't it, Jens? When you're inebriated. Now we know how your eyes feel.
I'm filming you, leave me alone.
Yes. So on that note, guys, thank you for watching. We've had record numbers watching tonight, actually, so it's nice. We're building week on week. We're getting more and more people watching, and it's thanks to your good work, and Rez and Gaza, for spreading the word as well on the Tottenham forums and stuff. And that's much appreciated. So anyone that's watching that hasn't liked and subscribed, could they do so? Because it all works towards the algorithms. Yeah, and share as well. Share is important to share to other people, because the more people it matches, it affects the algorithms, which lead us to being displayed, when people do searches and stuff. So thanks for watching. Thanks for you guys for contributing again. It's been another funny show. So hopefully the content was good for people watching, and we'll see you next Thursday. Are we doing Thursday, or should we do something a bit nearer as the game's on Sunday? Gaza, when are you back from the TT?
I'm only going for the day.
All right, fair enough. So we could do earlier, I suppose.
We could do Monday or Tuesday.
I was thinking on Thursday of doing a season review. You can't do Monday. Tuesday, possibly, boys, to do a review of the last game of the season to see where we finished 8th, 9th, 7th, 8th, 9th.
Yeah.
Reggie around Tuesday, Jens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll do the last game of the season on Tuesday, and then Thursday I want to do a season review. We'll go through all the players and mark them as well. That won't be very long. Will it be crap, sell? We'll go through them and decide who we need to keep next year. And I'm sure there'll be some management announcements or some shenanigans with Harry Kane, or it's never a dull day in Tottenham. And then look, we've got 2.5 hours of discussion today out of the last 2 days of Spurs content alone. So, Arrivederci, it's 1-on-1. Goodbye. Is that goodbye in Italian?
Arrivederci.
Yeah. Au revoir. Then we'll go with au revoir instead. What is it in Dutch? Goodbye. Dag, is it?
Dag.
In Iranian?
Khodafez.
How can we top that? In Geordie? Geordie, fat Geordie there. What have we got there?
Yeah, little man.
From the sublime to the ridiculous. Good night, and God bless you all. See you later. Bye bye.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.